ratio dropped at 77% last year, again testament to the prudent fiscal policies followed in Cyprus. For this year, 2024, the European Commission, based on its latest forecast, projects growth close to 3%, 2.8, 2.9%, and both the IMF and other commentators agree with this forecast. Unemployment is heading to below 6%, and our debt to GDP ratio has dropped even further to 70%. I mean, all this obviously has an impact on the interest by investors for Greek government, for Cyprus government debt that is oversubscribed whenever we make a public issue, but it's also reflected in the credit rating agencies' reports on Cyprus. You have to bear in mind that 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, Cyprus went through a severe financial crisis, and obviously we were at the bottom of the rating agencies' lists. But right now, Cyprus, both by Moody's, Fitch, and S&P, we have BBB plus ratings. We are 1 or 2 notches below A grade rating with positive outlooks, and I'm sure that over the next couple of years, the Cyprus economy will be an A-rated economy. Now, this creates obviously an environment of stability, of positive economic growth, and of safety and security for companies and investors in a geographic area that is otherwise unstable. Now, but this is not enough, obviously, for companies and investors to decide to come to Cyprus. The country has adopted some years ago, 3-4 years ago, the national strategy of transforming the economy into a more resilient, more diversified economy, and that is called Vision 2035. It's an action plan, actually. It's not just a vision. As part of that vision, as part of that action plan, there is the strategy of attracting to Cyprus high specialization companies and talent. Now, this is a strategy that aims to create in Cyprus clusters of companies with high specialization in the broader technology space. That strategy has been implemented for the last 3-4 years, and it has been highly successful. What are the ingredients of this strategy? The first are revised immigration policies that facilitate and streamline the relocation of staff and of talent to Cyprus, particularly from third countries, i.e. from countries outside the European Union. Plus family reunification policies that allow members of the family to get employment in Cyprus alongside the people who come with the companies that relocate here. Attractive tax incentives. I mean, Cyprus has always been quite attractive in terms of its tax regime for corporates, but now there is an attractive tax incentive for employees that gives a significant discount on income tax of talent that work for these companies. And also some social insurance agreement and a reduced naturalization period for non-EU nationals. I mean, all these taken together, coupled with the attributes of Cyprus, a country which is safe, is secure, a country where the living conditions are good, a country where, you know, you can drive to work and drive home for lunch, and in the evening go to the beach and spend time with your kids and your family, create an attractive package. And what investors tell us, especially the companies that have relocated to Cyprus over the last few years, and they grew during this period, they say that for them Cyprus is part of their talent attractiveness proposition. So when they seek to recruit people, not only from Cyprus, obviously, but also from abroad, and especially companies in the broader technology sector, where the competition for talent is fierce. When they put Cyprus down as a proposition to these people, it makes it very attractive because it combines the good living conditions, the stability, the security, with a very good tax package as well. And on the back of this strategy, there has been a big development on the island. We have now an ICT cluster of companies that accounts for more than 10% of GDP. There have been studies by professional service firms that estimate the contribution in excess of 10%, the direct and indirect contribution to GDP, but also the Eurostat recently announced results that indicate that the contribution of the international ICT sector to Cyprus is in excess of 9%. And this is testament of the success of this strategy and of this policy. Now, our ambition as a country is to, beyond the ICT sector, to develop other clusters of high expertise companies and in the broader technology sector. And I was very pleased to meet some companies from the biotechnology sector this morning, so are very keen to work with you and help you to establish yourselves in Cyprus and create new clusters in these fields of expertise. Now, in closing, I want to say a few words about Invest Cyprus. Invest Cyprus is an organization, is a company actually, that has one shareholder, which is the Republic of Cyprus. And we are tasked with the responsibility of promoting Cyprus as an investment destination and attracting investors to Cyprus, providing facilitation services, so helping investors who want to come to Cyprus. We don't have executive powers, but we have influence and we can facilitate. And obviously to stay in touch with investors after they come to Cyprus, to seek their views, to try to address pain points. And as part of that initiative, what we call aftercare, very recently actually, we had in Limassol a meeting with Israeli companies that are already based in Cyprus to listen to them and address any issues that they have. For us, that is extremely important because we want the companies who come here to be ambassadors and to be the people who actually promote the country. Now, in terms of the facilitation, which is, I'm sure, what is of great interest to many of you that are here or are listening from Israel, if you are interested to consider relocating to Cyprus, then our team at Invest Cyprus is available to provide any information that you may need, to answer any questions, and when you take the decision to actually establish yourself here, to work very closely with the business facilitation unit that is based at the Ministry of Commerce, to take you through all the bureaucracy and in a very short period of time to make sure that you are established in Cyprus, you are up and running, and you have people on the ground having gone through the immigration procedure. So please consider us as your first point of contact, as your partners, as the people that will take you through and help you to relocate in Cyprus and stay in touch with you throughout your journey on the island. And I hope that at some stage you'll make the decision to join this effort of transforming the Cypriot economy and of creating these clusters of expertise on the island. So thank you very much, and I wish you a very productive conference today.
Thank you, Mr. Evgeniou. Before jumping to the next section, I picked up what you said about the biotech companies, and I'd just like to mention that biotech and life sciences is an extremely strong sector in Cyprus, and I'm sure you can find out more about that. We'll have to talk later. But it's my pleasure right now, because among there's some important things that a company should do when they're considering opening up businesses, to find out and see whether it checks all the boxes. So it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Christos Toulas, partner in accounting, compliance and reporting, Ernst & Young, Cyprus. Mr. Toulas.
Good morning to all. We had a technical issue. Welcome to our event. My name is Christos Toulas. I'm a partner in EY, and my specialization is setting up structures. Over the last years, we've seen a lot of interest from Israelis. I have supported several Israelis either to set up private structures, the so-called family office, or corporations to set up in Cyprus. I've been to Israel many times. It's also always a pleasure to do business with Israelis. I feel we have very common characteristics. To be honest, I'm a fan of Ra'anana and Herzliya and not so much of Tel Aviv. Personal opinion. Over the next 10 minutes, my task is to make you understand 4 things. The ease of doing business in Cyprus, the attractiveness of our tax system, including the IP box regime, and how reliable and transparent our legal system is. Okay, I have 10 minutes to do this. I said challenge accepted, so let's start. I will not start with the ease of setting up, because before you set up, you need to be convinced for 2 things: tax and legal. So I will start with our legal system. And don't look at the slides. I will take you through instead of looking at the slides. Cyprus has a very attractive tax system. You all know tax flat rate 12.5%. We have the famous national interest deduction, which in a nutshell can reduce your tax to 2.5, as low as 2.5. How? If a company injects funds in the form of capital, and these funds are used for the production of taxable income, then you are allowed a notional deduction, which can go up as 80%. Also, very, very important, I mentioned before, family office. Many people choose Cyprus for their personal wealth because any gain on sale of shares is not taxable in Cyprus. Any dividend income is not taxable in Cyprus. When you pay dividends, royalties, or interest to non-residents, there is no withholding tax. A simple structure that we use a lot is an individual from abroad sets up a Cyprus company, has a portfolio with a bank, either in Cyprus, Switzerland, wherever, has shares and bonds. Any gain on sale of shares, tax-free. On the interest on the bonds, if the money came as capital, you are allowed a notional deduction. So this helps a lot of individuals to set up in Cyprus and also holding structures. Furthermore, Cyprus has more than 65 double tax treaties with many countries all around the world, and this number is getting bigger and bigger every day. We are an EU jurisdiction, so you have access to all the EU tax directives. There is neutrality of our FX gains and losses. And okay, last but not least, IP box regime, I will take it later. Capital gains, they are only if there is real estate in Cyprus. And it is the only case where there is taxability on when you sell shares if the underlying asset is real estate in Cyprus. So in a nutshell, what I said is that Cyprus works for private structures, for holding structures, for financing structures, and we've seen a lot of Israelis benefiting from this, from the attractiveness of our tax system. Those are the points I said. The tax, the NIT, and everything. Our legal framework. Cyprus has a very reliable and transparent legal system. I'm not a lawyer, so what I will say, it's not legal. It was based on common law and the EU regulations. There is protection of ownership, meaning a Cyprus company has its registered shareholder. Her details are shown in the register of companies, and also with the register of UBOs, the UBO of the company, I will elaborate later on this, her details are shown in the register of UBOs. Cyprus is flexible for investors, meaning you can have different classes of shares, voting shares, non-voting shares, dividend shares, different classes, so it gives a lot of flexibility in having investors, passive or active investors, into the company. Also, lately, we've seen a lot of companies using the redeemable preference shares, which is a very nice concept, if it's done properly, which helps a lot the investors. One more thing, when you enter Cyprus, you are not locked in. I mean, there are jurisdictions in Europe that don't allow you for an outbound rindom outside of Europe. In Cyprus, you shouldn't feel locked. With a straightforward process, you can outbound redomiciliation of the company anywhere you want to. Of course, recently we've seen a lot of inbound redomiciliations and not so many outbound redomiciliations. Last but not least, if you have a joint venture and there is a shareholder agreement in place, the clauses, the reserve matters of that SHA can be included in the articles of the company. Any reserve matters, any special clauses can be included in the articles, which gives another layer of protection to the parties of the joint venture. That's it in a very nutshell about our legal system. We mentioned reliable, transparent, efficiency, certainty, flexibility in hosting foreign companies, and ownership rights. We mentioned the classes of shares. Next one, the IP box regime. I mentioned before holding companies, finance companies, and private structures. What is left out? Technology companies. So Cyprus has the IP box regime, a scheme that helps technology companies and to benefit from it. I'm not a tax expert, so I will explain it very, very briefly. Technology companies, if they choose to adopt the IP box regime, they can get a deduction of up to 80%. There is this nexus formula here on top. What is very, very important to notice, qualifying expenditure. Qualifying expenditure is expenses incurred for R&D, either in-house or from third parties. Any R&D expenses incurred from related parties don't increase the qualifying expenditure, but increase the overall expenditure. If a company doesn't want to adopt the IP box regime, there is one more, I will call it scheme in Cyprus, with a super deduction of expenses, which gives you another 20% over and above your R&D expenses. So I think in 8 minutes, I took you through our tax, legal, and the IP box regime. So if I convinced you, the next step is to do the setup in Cyprus. The process for setting up a company, it's straightforward and simple. What is important is to have a very smooth pre-incorporation phase. And I will explain what I mean. There are 6 key elements to be agreed before the company is ready to submit the documents for incorporation. One is the name of the company, for which you need a pre-approval from the Register of Companies. Second, who the directors will be, who will manage the company. And here, just to mention, there are no restrictions of who these persons might be, Cypriots, locals, foreigners, but very, very important, we always say that it is advisable to have local people in your board to demonstrate management control of the company from Cyprus. Third, the company secretary in the register office is to be appointed. Then who the registered shareholder of the company will be, her details will be shown in the registrar of companies. Then we have the authorized and the issued share capital. Authorized is the available capital for issuance, and issued is the initial issued capital of a company. Just to mention here that if you want to inject 2 million into your company, there is no need to issue 2 million shares. You can issue a small number of shares at a high premium. And last one, number 6, the memorandum and articles of association of a company. If you want to include any special clauses, any reserve matters in the articles, now is the time to do it. So we have agreed all this, and we are ready to do the incorporation. Scanned copies of the documents will suffice. The Register of Companies can do online. We can do online submissions to the Register of Companies, and it takes approximately 5 to 7 working days for the company to be up and running. So, congrats, you have a Cyprus company. What's next? 3 very important things, very, very important. Tax registration, which needs to be done within 30 days from incorporation date. The register of UBOs, which needs to be done within 90 days, and I will elaborate later on the register of UBOs. And very, very important, VAT registration and optimization. There is no obligation for VAT registration initially, but you need to make sure that you have in place a VAT optimized structure to avoid any issues later on. Last thing from me is the register of UBOs. As we said, within 90 days, you need to submit to the register of UBOs the details of the ultimate beneficial owners. Who is a UBO? A person that controls more than 25% of the company. If there is no such person, then you need to include someone else, probably the director, but there is a list of who you need to include. Very, very important that if there are any changes, even small ones, in the percentage, through a sale of shares, through an allotment of shares, you have 45 days to inform the register of UBOs. I highlight this, there are severe penalties for non-compliance to the company, to the directors, and to the company secretary. So please, the register of UBO, it's a must. It's here, it came to stay. Initially, the register of UBO was available to the public. The details of everyone, anyone could pay €3 and get the details. There was a legal case last year in Luxembourg, so this has stopped. This info is not publicly available. You need to fill in a solemn declaration form, and you need to prove legitimate interest. In this form, you need to put the details, who you are in EY Cyprus, and you need to prove why you are an obliged entity, and you need to have access to the UBO details of a company. So that's it from me. Okay, I had only 12 minutes. I hope that I have helped convince you to use Cyprus. If you need anything, let me know, and enjoy the journey.
Thank you, Mr. Toulas. May I remind everybody there will be quite a few networking opportunities, and also if you'd like to, you can book a room on one-to-one that IMH is also facilitating. So if you want to delve into details about any of this important information. Let's dive, though, deeper into the tax issue and hear about key tax features and advantages for shareholders and business owners. And it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Andreas Papagavril, Director Tax Services, Baker Tilly, Southeast Europe.
Oops. Thank you. Morning. First of all, apologies, I'm a bit of a walker, so you're going to see me going up and down all the time. I have to make my daily steps, so it's early morning, so I have to do that. So Christos mentioned about the benefits from a corporate perspective, even though you also mentioned something about the investors as well. So there may be a bit of a repetition, but I think you get a bigger picture, and I'm not going to go into the very specifics and the technicals because I want you to get an understanding. But I will explain why mainly foreign investors, because that's what it's all about, foreign nationals, can benefit and why Cyprus is attractive for foreign investors. So when I mean foreign investors, when I say foreign investors, I mean those that are not nationals of Cyprus, meaning their father or mother wasn't born in Cyprus, they don't have any ties with Cyprus, their domicility is outside Cyprus. So someone from Israel, let's say. We can categorize these investors in two types. Number one, those that are foreign nationals, but they are residing abroad, so non-residents of Cyprus from a tax perspective, and those that are foreign nationals, but they are also based in Cyprus, meaning they are Cyprus tax residents. These two types, they mainly enjoy the same benefits, but the difference is, from a tax planning point of view, for us as tax advisors, it's much easier to control and make more optimized tax structures if someone is based in Cyprus. Why? Because we don't have the uncertainty of the other jurisdiction being involved. Now, Christos said that when we have a distribution of dividends to a foreign shareholder or a business owner, there is no withholding tax in Cyprus. Of course, provided that we are talking about natural persons, individuals. So if a foreigner sets up a company in Cyprus, let's say, and they get a dividend out of it, there is 0% withholding tax. That's very attractive. But if they are located in a jurisdiction and they are tax resident there that levies 20% tax on the inbound dividend, you can imagine that the 0% withholding tax makes no sense, because even if it was a 10% withholding tax, probably they would get a tax credit in the jurisdiction of their residency and still pay the difference. While if they're in Cyprus, things are different. So optimizing tax structure starts from understanding where the investor is located and whether there is a possibility to make sure that they can get out the money tax-free or at a lower tax rate, or if they are willing and they like Cyprus as a jurisdiction because of the weather or the education for their kids and so on, they can even relocate to Cyprus. This is something that we've seen happening recently. So this is the first point. The second one is when they decide to exit, because structure is not only when you enter, you have to exit at some point as well. Maybe you decide to liquidate the company, maybe there is a reason why you have to exit Cyprus. It's pretty similar to what I discussed about the distribution of the dividends. So when there is an exit in the event of a liquidation and there is a distribution in the way of a liquidation proceeds, still Cyprus is not going to levy any tax. I mean, even if, irrespective of whether it's a reduction of share capital or if it's over and above that, or even if it's a distribution of the profits as part of a liquidation. So any liquidation proceeds being repatriated outside Cyprus, they are still tax-free. This is also important. There are certain immovable property transactions that are taxable, like Christos said. So if we're not talking about repatriation of funds, but we are transferring the property to the shareholders and the investors, and the property is located in Cyprus, probably and possibly there will be tax implications in Cyprus from a capital gains tax point of view. But this again depends on the circumstances and whether there is an uplift in the market value of the property throughout the time that was in the company. Number 3 is very important. There is no tax on dividend income and passive interest income for Cyprus tax resident but non-domiciled individuals. And what I mean by that, when someone from Israel or any other nationality, they relocate to Cyprus, for the first 17 years that they are tax resident of Cyprus, they pay no tax on their dividend income, either from Cyprus or abroad, or any passive interest income from investments held in bonds, coupon income, and in general interest income from securities. So this is tax-free. Tax-free, I mean no special dividend contribution, no income tax. There is a small contribution to the general healthcare system to be part of the healthcare system, but this is capped, and this is 4,770 euros per annum, which is peanuts compared to the money that you can get out of the structure. So this is why we've seen many people from abroad relocating to Cyprus and deciding to avail of this non-dom regime for 17 years. There is also no wealth, no inheritance, and no gift tax in Cyprus. So you want to transfer, give to your family money, assets, whatever. There's no tax at all, irrespective of whether someone is alive or whether this happens as part of the estate or it happens let's say, because of a divorce or something. So when you want to gift, there is no inheritance, no gift tax, and no wealth tax at all, irrespective of the level of wealth of the individual. So this is also very important. And when I say no wealth tax, I mean in general throughout the world. So even if someone owns assets abroad, this is the same. So there may be other taxes in other jurisdictions, but for the time being, Cyprus does not levy any such taxes. So the next point moving forward is what Christos also said, and he mentioned it, that of course this is normal. Capital gains on disposal of properties located in Cyprus are taxable. The gain is the difference between the sales proceeds and the base cost, and it's taxed at 20%. It's a flat rate. You have certain reliefs and lifetime allowances. So if it's your private residence or principal residence, you get some exemptions. If it's the first time that you're selling, you get a small exemption. But in general, in a nutshell, you have to have in mind that real estate transactions in Cyprus are taxable at the rate of 20%, provided that they are capital transactions. So if an individual or a company are involved with trading, construction and selling and so on, this is not capital gains. It's normal business profits. So these are taxable at normal corporate income tax rates if it's a company, so 12.5%. And if the investors are individuals and they do it in their name, they decided to develop a project in their name, they are taxed personally. Of course, it doesn't make sense to do it personally because the higher band in Cyprus is 35%. So this is why construction operations are done by companies. Finally, last but not least, there is no tax on disposal of shares or securities in general. When someone is a Cyprus tax resident, Christos mentioned it, when we say securities, I don't mean only shares, it's bonds, it's any other security where the underlying asset is not a commodity. So all these are tax-free. So if someone, let's say, either in Cyprus or abroad, a foreign investor, even if they're not tax resident in Cyprus, or even if they are tax resident in Cyprus, they decide to exit the structure. Maybe they have a joint venture and they want to get rid of it. Maybe they want to sell because it doesn't make sense being in the structure anymore. Or maybe they want to realize a profit. When they sell a company, it's tax-free in Cyprus. So it's 0% tax. Any gain is non-taxable. So, of course, I'm not saying there's no tax at all. I mean, at some point you have to pay some taxes. But with proper and optimized tax planning, you can reduce the level of taxes that you have to pay, and of course, provided that you have a strong setup in terms of the organizational structure. Structuring is very important, and just establishing a company and saying that because of the establishment in Cyprus, no dividend, no crop tax, no nothing, and I'm tax-free when I go out, this is not the case. You have to have the substance. If the foreign investor is not located in Cyprus and they just decided to use Cyprus because of the attractive tax regime, it's not going to work if there is no physical substance in Cyprus. So there should be a commercial reason to come to Cyprus, to invest in Cyprus, and to set up the family office or the business in Cyprus. So it's very important to plan it from the beginning. And when you exit Cyprus, indeed in 99% of the cases, there may not be any tax, but there has been a development in the last few years, and there's a European directive where we had to transpose in Cyprus, and we have certain exit taxes if a company is redomiciled out of Cyprus, provided that it has operations or assets that need to be taxed. This is very rare, but have in mind that when you're exiting, you have to plan it properly to make sure that there are no exit taxes will kick in. Okay, I think that's it. I pretty much covered everything in the 10 minutes. Just remember, plan it properly. I mean, whatever you do, you may think that there's no tax, no dividend tax, no nothing, but you have to plan it. So and things are changing. We know that in next year in September, we expect a tax reform in Cyprus. I don't expect that all these attractive benefits will change. I mean, there will be a complete revamp of the law. But this is part of the pro-business strategy of the government. It's part of the promotion to let's say, attract investors from abroad. So I don't think that all this will change. I mean, most of this will remain the same, but still there will be changes. So if you're considering either remaining or investing in Cyprus, you have to come in mind that the tax reform is coming, and we're here to help you. So whatever you need, we can assist with. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. Well, I always knew there are two certainties in life, right? Death and taxes. I'm very happy to hear that at least one of them is not so certain in a good way, and I am talking about taxes so far. But it is my pleasure now to invite Mr. Dimosthenis Mavrelis, partner of Chrysis Dimitriades & Co. LLC, to dive deeper into wealth protection and trusts. Mr. Mavrelis.
Good morning, everybody. I've been asked to give a presentation on various things. I'll try not to bore you and not to give a lecture. One of the elements of this presentation has to do with the other thing that nobody wants to mention other than taxes, but bear with me a second, you will find out. So, you took your family and you moved here, you're here, you set up your company. You're attracting investors, you're doing different schemes in order to make the most of it. Now, there are many things that you want to know about. Why is it good to be here? It's good to be here because over the years, the country has set up different strategies in order to protect you as an investor, to protect what you have earned in your life, and to make it easy to pass it on to your family, because Cyprus, as Israel, is very, very keen on keeping wealth within the family and the family structure. So I would say that you're safe here. First of all, we have a treaty with Israel that protects investment from Israel, investment of Cypriot companies into Israel, and they're both most favored nation states under this treaty. And also, it makes it easy for you to repatriate any money you have into Israel or the other way around. That's very good for you. And you should take that into consideration. And this can be adjudicated in a special tribunal. Furthermore, as my previous speaker said, it is very easy to use the construct of a Cypriot company in order to protect yourself. There's been tried in the past to have structures where the classes of shares are such that different levels of decision making are reserved for the founders, initial investors, staff that have options, etc. You should look into this very, very seriously on how you do it. But if you're setting up your company and you want to involve other people in the company, rule number one is get a lawyer. I've seen many a time where this has not happened. The structures were set up haphazardly, and when the big investor comes or where an exit is about to happen, a lot of problems are found. So it's a very good advice. I will now go to another section on the protection under the law. The law here is very investor-friendly, although a bit slow at times, but you have a clear common law system that you know what your protection is, you know your position. There is not a lot of code that you have to see. There's stare decisis. I mean, the decisions of previous adjudicated case stand. So with a lawyer, you can sit down and basically know what your potential position is. And I think that in Israel, you have a very similar legal system than the one we have here. So you should be able to have at least a level of certainty once you plan your ventures on the island. Sorry. Now we're going to the other unpleasant issue, succession law. You've worked your life, you've accumulated wealth, you have your company, you have your assets, you have your fortune. You move to Cyprus, bring your children, and what do? First of all, you want to be sure that any property you buy is safe. Here in Cyprus, we have a very, very effective land registration system. So all land is registered. You can go and check out what you have by a search. All land is online. You can see where the borders are, and you can basically have certainty as to the real estate assets you have. I know many countries, if you wanted to transfer real estate, you got to go to the notary and find a cadaster and find a bunch of documents, evidence who had or not. This is not the case. Here is very, very clear and very, very owner-friendly. So you won't have any problem if you invest. Furthermore, succession law is codified under Cap 195. And succession law favors the family. As you will see later, you want to study this very well, there is succession which has reserved up to 75% of the estate for family members if they are close family members. Furthermore, there is no difference between somebody who is a Cypriot national and somebody who is not. Everybody is treated the same. So you have the same property rights as a Cypriot when you come here and invest. So you shouldn't feel any insecurity about this. This is the legal framework. I will not go into the nitty-gritty. I'm just going to say that if you want, you can apply your own system of succession, being Israeli, because under this convention, you're allowed to do so. So it's an option. You got the option. We're not saying you have to use this if you have land in Cyprus. Okay? Very easy. Again, very easy to explain. And this is how it happens. You can either make a will in front of two witnesses not connected to the will, to the estate, or you can basically apply the law. And this is saying who your heirs are and how much you can give away to other non-connected parties if there are siblings or children or parents, etc. All very well put together. Obviously, as my dear friend said, there is no inheritance tax. So we favor family succession. Now we're going into trusts. You guys know what trusts are, right? Is there such a concept in Israel? Trusts. Trusts means that a trustee, a professional, holds property on behalf of another, is the legal registered owner, but in effect, the property belongs to another person. And this is based on English common law. And it's been adopted in Cyprus since we were an English colony. Very effective structure, very easy to set up in Cyprus. And there are some obligations of the trustees that are codified under the law. I will say, give the definition of the trust in the Hague Convention is here. And it's, I think, easy to understand what it is. Now, here in Cyprus, there is express trust created by the will of the settlor in writing, implied trust that can be basically created by the intention of the parties in a certain transaction and through their behavior, and constructive trusts which are basically exist under operation of law. I mean, the court can say that when this happened, a trust relationship was created. These are very useful when you're doing business and there is a lot of exchange of monies or properties to make the business happen. In order to have a trust, you need three things. Clear intention to have a trust, a certainty of subject matter, what is the trust property, and of objects, who are the beneficiaries of this trust. Now, Cyprus wanted to attract a lot of international business people to set their trust here. So they created the Cyprus International Trust in 1992, and then we recodified it in 2012. Apparently, there's a problem here because in order to set this international trust, you need not to have been a tax resident of Cyprus the year before the creation of this trust, you and the beneficiaries. I don't know why we haven't included everybody here and the local trust is still on common law. Maybe the parliament should see that and change it. But if you are coming here and you want to set it up before you come, that's fine, because if you, at the later stage you move here, it will not affect the validity of the trust that you have set under the 1992 law prior to you moving here. This is a codified law. It is a trustee should be a permanent resident of Cyprus, and this has no perpetuities. It can remain valid forever, and all issues under the trust will be determined by Cypriot law. It is very, very well guarded against any other creditors that have not existed prior to the trust, and it is up to them to prove that the trust was basically set in order to defraud such creditors. There is also an extensive list of powers of the trustees to invest the trust property in various industries and securities, commodities, or other things. There is residual powers that you can have, as at law, you can basically appoint a protector of trust or give yourself some powers, but you should exercise caution so that it's not as extensive as to negate the trust. Say, oh, there was no trust, like he's doing whatever he wants. Now, this trust must be, the trustees must be professionals who are regulated in Cyprus as lawyers, accountants, or investment firms. They should comply with all the money laundering laws. The trust should be registered with the relevant professional body of the trustee. And again, there is these UBO registry requirements, but trusts are registered with CISEC, not with the Register of Companies, and it is much more difficult for anyone to apply to see who the UBOs are, since they need to prove to CISEC that they have a valid reason to do it. So if somebody doesn't want to be available, their details to be available, it's better to set up a trust where CISEC will be more, they will basically be very, very careful as to what they disclose, because this trust may have children as beneficiaries, and there may be security issues and other things. And we try to do that and leave it to CISEC. Also, I want to talk about my firm for a minute. We've been in business for 80 years. We have about 50 lawyers in Limassol and Nicosia. We're a full-service firm. We have extensive experience in M&A, finance, shipping, litigation, real estate, and we come now lobbying. We are a registered lobbyist. So feel free to ask us any questions. We have a lot of my partners here. And thank you very much for your time. I hope I have not bored you within such a technical subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Demosthenis. I'm wondering what the dinosaur is doing in your QR, to be honest. I hope you're not going anywhere anytime soon. The dinosaur in your QR. We good? All right, let's move right in. We are going to go into the employee and digital nomad perspective now, and I have another beautiful, difficult Greek name for you. So it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Riginos Polydevkis, Director, Head of Immigration Services of Ernst & Young Cyprus. Mr. Polydevki.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Reginos Polydevkis. I'm Director at EY Cyprus, leading the immigration team in EY for the past 6 years. Actually, today is my work anniversary in EY. I joined EY after 11 years in the public sector as an administrative officer in the governmental department dealing with immigration, the Civil Registry and Migration Department. And I'm here to present a few key points related to the immigration policy as applied so far. As Mr. Eugeniu said in his opening statement, the immigration policy of Cyprus has been heavily amended during the past 3 or 4 years. And especially, these amendments had to do with combining policies between them in order to make it more attractive for people to relocate to Cyprus, operate their businesses, bring their families, and feel Cyprus as a welcoming destination. The first and most severe and most helpful amendment was the so-called IBC regime. The IBC regime is a scheme that the government applies to attract non-EU nationals, non-EU investors, in order to set up their businesses in Cyprus. It provides an easy and fast-track process for hiring people, employing non-EU nationals, and also gives the benefit of direct access to family reunification, and especially with no limit in their residency period, where other type of companies have a limitation of 4 or 6 years. These employees are able to renew their permit every 3 years. The main criteria for these companies to be set up in Cyprus is actually for the main investor, the UBO, the major shareholder, to be a non-EU national. But in case there are minor shareholders of this category, then there are options also to set up the company under the said process. Also, shipping companies, pharmaceutical companies, and other companies are by default eligible to apply for this regime. And by applying for this regime, the employees need to fulfill also certain criteria, such as criminal records, minimum salary, minimum duration of contract. But it's a process that has been tested for several years. It works, it's fast, and through the new process facilitated through the business facilitation unit, it's super easy and super accessible to all investors wishing to relocate their businesses in Cyprus. As I said, the benefits, apart from the 3 years permit that is renewable indefinitely, allows family reunification, and also a recent development, access to fast-track naturalization process, which means that employees under the IBC regime are eligible to apply much faster, much earlier, and much faster for becoming Cypriot citizens, provided that they actually reside in Cyprus and they have physical presence here. One of the main benefits of the IBC, and I chose to present processes and types of permits that are interlinked between them in order to show the migration environment that welcomes investors in Cyprus. And the key point here is the easy access to family reunification for investors under the IBC scheme. Family reunification covers spouses, minor children, but also the same rights can be granted to children over 18 or to father-in-law, mother-in-law, parents of the couple under different procedures, but with the same rules and same documentation. This is a very attractive benefit for the investors because it allows the whole family to be here and operate as a unit. It is very important to stress that wives, spouses have also access to employment under certain employer. No access to self-employment, unfortunately, not yet. But it is something that allows actually employment without the need of labor market test, without the need of labor office approvals, which is something that hugely helped families in Cyprus during the past few years. Another permit that links with the IBC in cases where the family reunification criteria are not met, or in cases where applicants wish to visit Cyprus for a certain period in order to have a look at the local market, at the local economic situation, is the visitor's permit. The visitor's permit that does not allow employment, but allows residency over the 3 months of staying that the tourist visa allows. So this type of permit can be used either as an interim solution or as a step before deciding how to apply for the IBC regime or for any other type of permits in Cyprus. And it's mainly based on financial criteria, financial substance of the individual that wishes to apply for such permit. It's valid for 1 year and can be renewed again indefinitely as long as the financial criteria are met. Now, we like to present another type of permit that is directly linked to investors. It's a permanent residency by investment permit, which has been amended in 2023, May 2023, and extended the criteria not only to real estate, but to Cyprus company shareholding and also to funds. By investing 300K plus VAT in one of those 4 categories, the applicant can get for himself, the spouse, and the minor children a permanent residency permit that under criterion 3, for example, also allows employment in the company they invest, and it grants them a permit that will not need to be renewed on an annual or every 3 years or every 5 years. It's a forever permit. The card actually expires in 10 years, but it's renewable just like the ID we have as Cypriot nationals. PR is a bit different to the temporary permits I presented earlier, because under the initial categories, the applicants are obliged to be in Cyprus at least once every 3 months. Under the PR permit, the permanent residency permit, this period is extended to once every 2 years. This allows investors to stay if they like, travel as much as they like, and being able to visit Cyprus once every now and then in order to maintain their status and in order to maintain the benefits deriving from that status. And last but not least, the naturalization. This is the latest of the developments in the immigration field, in the immigration world, and it came as a last step in order to conclude the whole environment for attracting investors and IBC employees in Cyprus. This law was voted back in May 2024, and it actually grants employees operating, working in IBC companies and their family members a much faster 4 or 5 years period of staying, way forward to applying for naturalization. So under this scheme, normal employees in Cypriot companies or employees or other type of residents with no employment rights are eligible to apply after they conclude 8 years of physical stay. Under the IBC regime, these employees, this period is reduced to 4 years if they have basic knowledge of Greek language level B1, or 5 years if their knowledge of Greek is at level A2. So what does this mean? This means that a lot of these companies that enter Cyprus during the past few years, and their employees would need to wait for 7, 8, 5 years in order to be eligible to apply for the naturalization. And again, the critical point is that these years have to be physical presence in Cyprus, so any traveling was deducted, any periods of illegal stay was deducted. So these people, from trying to accumulate 7 years of physical stay that the previous law required, suddenly they are allowed to apply right now. And there is a huge benefit for them and for the companies, because This will allow them, the IBC companies, to also cover the interim term that it was implemented when the IBC policy was voted, which stated that by January 2027, IBC companies would need to prove that 30% of their employees are actually EU or Cypriot nationals in order to be able to further expand their operations and hire more people. So right now there is no quota, but by January 2027, a 30% quota will apply. So by this process, by the naturalization process, they will be allowed to have the same people naturalize their employees and thus fulfill the requirement of the IBC policy and being able to maintain their rights to employ more people. The presentation today talks about digital nomads as well. Unfortunately, right now, digital nomad option is not available because the government initially offered 500 slots for such permits. Those were covered and they were never renewed. But the visitor's permit I mentioned earlier is a good alternative, a much easier and faster alternative, to be honest, and it can be used for people who wish to relocate to Cyprus and work remotely, for example, for their employer, which is abroad. Also, a last-minute development, the Blue Card Directive has been approved in Cyprus, which also refers to highly skilled employees. The relevant law passed this summer, and we expect the Ministry of Labour and the Ministry of the Deputy Minister of Migration to issue the relevant decrees and processes and application forms and fees in order for this to start being implemented in the local market. This will have a benefit over the IBC regime I mentioned earlier. The Blue Card allows, with the Cyprus permit, to travel to other EU countries who have a same entity or branch or office and work for that employer for a period up to 3 months. So it allows mobility. Cyprus is not a Schengen country. Our permits only allow stay in Cyprus, but this type of permit, the Blue Card, will also allow mobility within the EU. This was the part I wanted to present. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. And now it's time to move into an overview of the financial services and banking sector in Cyprus. And it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Fivos Stasopoulos, Chief Banking Officer of Hellenic Bank. Mr. Stasopoulos, there you are.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and colleagues, good morning. It is my honor to be here at the Doing Business with Israel Summit, representing Hellenic Bank and the Cypriot banking sector. Today, I will share with you an overview of the evolution of the Cypriot economy and its banking sector since 2013, highlighting key reforms, demonstrating its resilience, and highlighting the opportunity it presents to investors like yourselves. When a few years ago, I presented Cyprus and its banking sector in New York, I started my presentation as follows. In Cyprus, we feel we are blessed. Blessed because we live in a beautiful island, blessed because we have beautiful sandy beaches, lovely forests, blessed because we have an exceptional climate and a superb location. Recently, however, I said, we also feel that we have been truly blessed because we have lived and we have seen it all. Bail-in, bail-out, banks going into resolution, banks closing down, debt service platforms, sale of loans, the whole lot. But have we really seen it all? The Cypriot banking system faced significant challenges during the financial crisis of 2013, marked by the collapse of Laiki Bank and the near collapse of Bank of Cyprus. The crisis triggered the need for deep reforms and structural adjustments within the sector. Since then, the banking system has been on a steady path of recovery, becoming more resilient and more stable. At the heart of the transformation has been the reduction of the non-performing loans, capital strengthening, and a shift towards a banking model which is based on digital innovation and service excellence. One of the most important achievements since 2013 has been the significant reduction in NPLs. Cyprus had one of the highest NPL rates in Europe, peaking at around 50%. Today, that same NPL ratio has steadily declined, reaching 7.3% in March 24. This reduction is largely attributed to decisive actions by Cypriot banks, including Hellenic Bank, to clean up their balance sheets through loan restructuring, through write-offs, and most importantly, through the sale of NPL portfolios to credit acquiring companies. The stress tests conducted by European authorities in recent years have demonstrated that our banking sector has developed significant buffers to withstand future shocks. In recent stress tests, systemic institutions, including Hellenic Bank, have shown improved asset quality and higher income capabilities. Another key milestone has been the strengthening of capital buffers. The common Tier 1 capital, CET1, which measures the bank's core equity capital compared to its total risk-weighted assets, has been increasing steadily. In March 2024, the CET1 ratio for the Cyprus banking system reached a record of 21.5%, well above the European average of 15.9%. What does that mean? It means that the banking sector has created substantial capital buffers, enhancing their ability to absorb any unexpected losses and at the same time being able to support new lending. As we look at the data from the last decade, we see a steady growth in banking system deposits, which now stand at 53 billion, with residential deposits contributing the bulk of these deposits at 46 billion. Despite global economic uncertainties, the Cypriot banking sector has been able to maintain a stable deposit base. This stability provides confidence to businesses and individuals alike and enables us to continue supporting the economy. On the lending side, gross loans amounted to 25 billion in June 2024, leading to a very healthy loans-to-deposit ratio, which currently stands at below 50%. In recent years, Cypriot banks, including Hellenic Bank, have embraced digital transformation. The banking industry has undergone a fundamental shift to offer multi-channel banking solutions. Customers today expect a seamless digital experience, and the Cypriot banking sector is adapting to this demand with innovative digital products, mobile banking applications, and AI-driven services. Hellenic Bank has taken significant steps in its branch network rationalization. Showing on the chart on the bottom left, we have reduced our branch network footprint from 214 branches 6 years ago to 53 branches today, whilst continuously enhancing digital channels in order to be able to serve our 500,000 customer base. 95% of the transactions of our customers are currently performed through digital channels, and we are therefore able to gradually convert our branches to sales and relationship hubs. Our strong and stable deposit base, coupled with our strong capital base, allow us the steady and selective growth of our loan book, locally and internationally. Internationally, mostly through shipping activities and through international syndicated lending participations. As we speak, our AGM is taking place, where our new board of directors will be elected following the acquisition by Eurobank of almost 56% of our share capital. This is considered as an important milestone for the Cyprus economy, for the Cyprus banking sector, and a seal of approval for Hellenic Bank and its future. In parallel, the acquisition of CNP Insurance, which is expected to be completed in Q1 next year, will result in a 32% and 22% market share in life and general insurance, respectively. While the Cypriot economy and its banking system have been performing well, we must acknowledge the broader geopolitical and economic challenges that continue to shape the business landscape. Rising inflation, geopolitical tensions, potential external shocks are factors that every financial institution must account for. However, our system has proven its ability to navigate these challenges, and our macroeconomic outlook remains positive. GDP growth rose to 3.5% in the first half of the year, driven by tourism, technology, trade, and construction. For investors from Israel, and I see many familiar faces in the room, the Cyprus banking system offers several opportunities. Cyprus is strategically positioned as a business hub between Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and our banking system is equally well positioned to support investments across various sectors. We offer a high level of financial services tailored to international clients. We do have the necessary internal setup to support direct foreign investment. For example, in retail banking, we offer housing loans for the purchase of properties in Cyprus. In the business spectrum, we support real estate development, we support investments in hospitality and real estate activity and other real estate activity, and in shipping, we do and we have provided Israeli companies with vessel finance. At Hellenic, we have certain primary sectors of activity where we want to grow our footprint through designated industry specialists aiming to support our respective customer base. These sectors are hospitality, education, health, technology, renewable energy, and manufacturing. In conclusion, the Cypriot banking sector has undergone a remarkable transformation since 2013. Today, it stands as a resilient, stable, forward-looking industry that is ready to support growth and investment. The sector is well positioned to continue its positive trajectory in the years to come. I invite you all to explore the opportunities that Cyprus has to offer and to consider the advantages of partnering with a banking sector that is committed towards innovation, stability, and growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stasopoulos. May I remind you also for the use of Slido for if you have any questions that you'd like to be addressed during our summit. And moving on to the, still about banking, the private client offering, though, I would like to invite Mr. Kyriakos Michailidis, Chief Wealth and International Banking Officer of Alpha Bank Cyprus. Mr. Michailidis, the floor is yours.
Does this work? Works. Okay. Good morning to all, and a welcome from me as well. Now, I remember I had my first clients from Israel in 2006, and I think the first time I went to Israel to promote the bank I worked for back then, and Cyprus as a financial center, was in 2007. So working with Israeli clients ever since, it's really exciting for me to see how the relationship between Cyprus and Israel has grown. I think it's safe to say that at this moment we have seen this relationship to reach a remarkable level. And I think everybody here agrees with me that we believe this will continue to grow in the years to come. So for my presentation, I thought to remind everybody of what the banks in Cyprus can offer to Israeli clients, especially Alpha Bank. I will try to be very brief and within my time because I think there is a break after me, so I think everyone, like myself, is looking for a cup of coffee right now. I will start by saying that Alpha Bank, like all banks actually in Cyprus, we have a dedicated division servicing international clients. And at Alpha Bank, we have 2 units in Nicosia servicing Larnaca as well. And we have 2 units in Limassol servicing Paphos as well. We have a team serving each client group and a dedicated RM for each client. And although our clients execute everything nowadays from our web banking and mobile banking, by having their own RM and having access to them at any moment, we believe we can still offer specialized and personal service, which is still important even in the digital age. We have a full offering to our clients, and for companies, we offer, of course, all types of accounts and cards and transactional banking and everything. I would like to mention that we are the dominant leaders servicing electronic money institutions, those that are licensed by Central Bank of Cyprus. Actually, we are the only bank in Cyprus offering correspondent services to these clients. We are really very specialized in this field. But we are also very keen to offer loans to clients that have projects in Cyprus, even in Greece, and also maybe depending on the project in the UK. And also for purchasing their own offices if they set up office in Cyprus. We have specialized bankers in many sectors of the Cyprus economy, like energy, hotels, education and health. And we also work very closely with a very specialized unit of our group in Athens for offering shipping finance. We also service the local fund industry, those setting up a NAIF or a RAIF. And very soon, before the end of the year, we will be able to also offer depository services to these funds. Now, going to the private individuals offering, like mentioned earlier this morning, the tax benefits for personal wealth is very favorable in Cyprus, and many international clients are taking advantage of this. So we are buffing up our offering to make it really rich offering in depth and in width as well. And we also extend our offering to Israeli clients, for example, to purchase their own home if they live and work in Cyprus, and provide many other services in the investment spectrum. Our bank in Greece is the #1 bank in private banking with many years of experience and very large capability in portfolio construction and other products. And they have very solid performance to show for their portfolios and asset management. So we are now at the process of setting up our private banking offering in Cyprus, and we hope by the end of the first quarter of 2025, we will be able to bring this offering to Cyprus and add advisory and discretionary services to the execution-only service we have today. At the moment, we do offer specialized lending to high-net-worth individuals for purchasing real estate not only in Cyprus, but also in Greece and the UK. Saying a few words now about the bank and our group. Alpha Bank Group is one of the biggest in Greece, with total assets 73 billion, with presence in 5 countries, Greece, Luxembourg, UK, and Romania, in addition to Cyprus. And recently, UniCredit, the second largest bank in Italy, which is now rumored to want to acquire Commerzbank in Germany, they acquired a 9% shareholder stake in Alpha Bank, and we believe this strategic alliance will boost the growth prospects of our group. And we look forward to working with UniCredit on a number of products and services they specialize in. It's a very strong financially bank, like I said, 73 billion balance sheet, and this gives Alpha Bank Cyprus let's say, a help from a bigger and larger organization to grow organically and offer a premium service in the local market. Alpha Bank Cyprus is also very healthy. We have grown to 3.7 billion balance sheet at the moment after the acquisition of Hellenic Bank by Eurobank. We will be the 3rd largest bank. We have a very ambitious business plan for the next 3 years, and we intend to grow and upgrade our servicing in all segments, especially private banking and international banking, but also corporate banking and affluent banking. So I would like to invite you to discuss with us any of your needs, and I think I will finish the presentation here and wish you all a nice cup of coffee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I know I'm standing between you and coffee, but do join me in thanking our speakers for being impeccable with time so that we can all, apart from the amazing knowledge and insights that we got, enjoy coffee and network. So please enjoy your break for 20 minutes sharp, and we'll meet back here at 11:30. Thank you. Hello again. I guess you liked the coffee, didn't you? Let's jump right in, respecting everybody's time. And it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Stelios Amerikanos, Managing Partner of Stelios Amerikanos & Co. LLC. He'll be moderating the next panel on doing business in Cyprus and showcasing some case studies and success stories with Roni Aloni, Managing Director of Leonardo Hotels and Resorts of Mediterranean and member of Fatal Hotel Management, Nimrod Borovic, CEO of Borovic Moses Group and major shareholder of TUS, yes please, of TUS Airways, and Mrs. Einat Zakaria, CEO and partner of E-Wave Group Cyprus Leave Collection. Einat? Oh, there she is, sorry. Thank you. Stelios, over to you.
Ready to go? Thank you, Mrs. Kofteros, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. We're ready for lunch, actually. Welcome to today's panel discussion on case studies and success stories for Israeli business in Cyprus. I'm Stelios Amerikanos, and I shall be your moderator today as we explore the dynamic business relationship between Israel and Cyprus, focusing on real-life examples of how Israeli companies have found success here in Cyprus. Over the past few years as an office, we are proud to say that we have seen a number of our Israeli clients establishing themselves in Cyprus, bringing with them innovation, entrepreneurship, and a spirit that not only marked their success, but also greatly benefited the local business community as well. A spirit, permit me to say, dear friends, out of 30 years of experience in law and business, like no other. Allow me now to introduce you to our panelists. First, we have Mrs. Einat Zakaria. She's the CEO of E-Wave Group, Cyprus, a group that managed to penetrate the real estate sector by developing and managing residential projects and building high-quality flats that are shaping Cyprus' urban landscape, especially in Larnaca. Next, we have Mr. Roni Aloni. He's the Managing Director of the Mediterranean region of Fatal Hotels. Fatal is the leading hotel group of Israel that entered Cyprus scene in 2017 and has since managed to become a major player in the tourism industry in Cyprus. Today, Fatal owns hotels in Paphos, Larnaca, Prodaras, and Limassol. And finally, we are joined by Mr. Nimrod Borovic, representing TUS Airways. TUS is the first Cypriot airline to be founded after the collapse of Cyprus Airways in 2015, which has not only strengthened aviation links between Israel and Cyprus, but also contributed to the development of Cyprus' much-needed regional connectivity in general. Each of our panelists brings a unique perspective and set of experiences that reflect the broad scope of Israeli businesses' success in Cyprus. Without any further delay, let me start with our first question. This goes to Ronnie. Fatal Group vision has always been big and aiming outside Israeli borders. You have hotels everywhere in Europe. You have hotels in Germany, in Great Britain, in Holland. Yet the Mediterranean came a bit later. You have invested in Greece, you have invested in Cyprus. So I would love to hear, Ronnie, this expansion strategy, what was the perspective, and how was that you have chosen Cyprus at the end of the day?
Thank you, Stelios. It's my pleasure and honor to be here today. Kalimera to everyone. First of all, as a group, we are going step by step. Even though it looks like we are going very fast, we are going step by step, and we measure very deeply the analysis before we make any movement. The fact that we wanted to move out of Israel, I think it's obvious, and these days, while we are facing a war and no income tourism towards Israel, this is very much expressed why we went out of Israel. So I think this is very obvious. At the beginning, we started in Europe. We wanted stability. We started with city hotels all over Europe. You mentioned before, we started with city hotels mainly, and some airports that could combine between business and majority was very stable. Within the time, we had quite a lot of experience in resorts, because when we started in Israel, we started in Eilat, which is the main resort area zone in Israel next to the Red Sea. And while thinking that we have enough stability in Europe, we had in mind to split the eggs in few baskets. And then we decided to go towards a resort. Cyprus was an excellent destination, theoretically, because it's very close by. Aviation between Israel and Cyprus should be very easy, very short flight. The atmosphere here, the weather, the climate of economical was in the right timing, and we find also the right deal to start with, and I think you were part of this deal, so it's good timing to thank you once again. And when we did it, we knew that when we come to a destination, we have to look at the wide picture. The wide picture is not only Cyprus, was the whole region of Mediterranean. We were looking also into Greece, Montenegro, Croatia, Malta, and the other countries around, and this is in our vision. But we said before we will establish, when we establish a management company in Cyprus, then when you build up a strategy, it is much more valuable and much more financially wise to create under one umbrella as many hotels on the same line. And this is how we started. We started actually in Paphos buying 723 rooms, and within 2 years' time we made them 1,200, same hotels, and slowly we picked up. You mentioned before only a few destinations that we are now either owning or running or managing in Cyprus. I believe you will mention it later on, but we also have hotels. We are building a hotel in Nicosia. We are building a hotel in Lachi. So we did expand quite a lot in all Cyprus under the same umbrella, which economically wise makes much more sense. Now, you have to look at the whole picture, the wide picture also, talking about aviation, talking about widening the seasonality, which is an issue here. But basically, when we came in to Cyprus, the average salary was quite low. So we knew that we can base on the locals. Now it changed, unfortunately. So we knew that payroll could be good. Taxation systems were very good. So we had many reasons why to come. And of course, Israelis, they like to travel. We have a base marketing-wise. And we knew that we could easily get the awareness in the main countries at that time, before the war, Russia, Ukraine, England, Germany, France, etc., which anyhow we got already stronger marketing-wise. So you have the whole picture why actually we chose Cyprus.
Nimrod, going back to 2021, what opportunities did you see when you decided to invest in a Cyprus airline? And how did the aviation industry grow and maximize traffic within these 3 years?
First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here with you. We are a couple of seconds about the group. We are an aviation group by nature, more than 45 years ago. So my father started the business, aviation airlines, was the founder of Arkia Israeli Airlines, a part of, later on, we bought the majority of El Al Israel Airlines. We were the majority for more than 17 years until the COVID crisis. That it was very bad time. They decided to sell the most of the shares. Right now, we are minority, 5-6%. This is a passive investment. Beside of that, we have a leasing company of commercial aircraft like Boeing, Airbus. We are buying and leasing to the worldwide aviation industry, big airplanes without any connection to Israel. So for us, it's quite good to spread the abilities and the risk out of the Israeli area, in which the risk is very volatile and changing every day and even every hour. Yeah, I don't know if you heard what happened yesterday. So we came here. Right now I have to come back to fly after this meeting, and maybe I will fly, maybe not. So I will back to the advantages of what we are doing here in Cyprus. But one of the main advantages, if something happened, there is no flight, we can swim because it's very close. So it's 250 or 60 kilometers. So joke. But actually, this is one of the reasons that led us to invest and to spread our arms in the aviation to a very close and friendly, very friendly country by all means. Friendly is not just the nature of people that are more of the same like the Israelis, that very much like the people, the culture, attentive people, with a lot of attention and a very good service. So this is like our brothers, like families. This is a lot of Israelis are feeling the same. And the other reason, as I said before, it's very close physically when you are making something abroad, not in your country. I think one of the parts to look, in your eyes, with the people, with the place, with the office, is very important. So the physical distance is something that it was quite important. And again, we saw the opportunity in the economics in Cyprus itself with a lot of, I would not say explosion, but a lot of progress in the last years with a much more strategic view of the government, to even in Larnaca to build something, in the marina, and it's tourism, and in Limassol and Paphos, and also so that the seasonality, which in our business aviation, I don't have to tell you, is very seasonal. Okay, the summer you can make a lot of profit, but in the winter, you have your asset, you have in our business the airplanes, which is very costly. And they cannot say, okay, right now we don't fly. Because you have to keep your schedule, you have to serve your passengers flying, the business travelers as well as, but the winter is winter. And as a country that is serving a lot of, or working a lot of in the area of tourism, it's very high value, I can say, even compared to Israel. Not just in Larnaca, Limassol and Paphos. The name of the game is how to try to balance a bit the winter. So this is another reason that we saw that a lot of culture and entertainment and new hotels were built in the last years in order to have some more possibilities to the low season. So it's very important. So this is another aspect. One more aspect is the regulation. Airline business is very, very regulatory with a lot of restrictions. First of all, safety, this is the number one. You must be safe much before earning any money. This is the name of number one. And then you have to deal with a lot of regulation on the safety side and with the country itself. So we found that the Cyprus Aviation Authority is very progressing, surprisingly, because we made due diligence a lot of months and even before. We saw very, let's say, openness and good people, very professional, working with Aviation Authority in Europe because it's part of Europe. So we saw this a very big advantage. And the last advantage was the growth of which is amazing. The growth of the passengers out of Israel to Cyprus reached last year in 2023 to almost 1 million passengers, which is account to 5% out of all the Israelis that are flying out from Israel, which is quite big. Just for, you know, for example, all the Israelis that are flying to the States, it's 1.2 million. So Cyprus was number 6, even a little bit before Germany, before Netherlands. And the growth was 42% in 2023, okay, compared to 2022. And before that, it was the COVID. So in the COVID, it's a bad time to measure things. But if I eliminate it, so the growth, the average growth in the last, let's say, 6, 7, or 8 years, you know, when I eliminating the COVID, so it was about 10%. So until 2023, that, as I said, the growth was the main growth in all Ben Gurion, this is the Tel Aviv airport, with 42%. This year, until now, I don't have to tell you because of the war, unfortunately, in Israel. So all the market from Israel went down, drove by 45%. And to Cyprus, nothing. It's amazing. So this year, as it looks now, right now, we are very close to the end of the year, it's going to be, again, 1 million when all the market went down. So this is the last thing that brought us to decide 3 years ago to invest in a company called TUS Airways, which is a small company, but you know, as Ronnie said before, we are going step by step. First of all, we want to serve in the best way our customers, to make a lot of connections from Tel Aviv to Larnaca, not just to Larnaca, we're flying to Paphos, we are flying to other destinations in Greece, and also a lot of flights without connection to Israel, from Larnaca to Heraklion, to sometimes to Düsseldorf and other places. So,
thank you, Nimrod. Going to real estate, Einat. I know that you have looked into various opportunities in Cyprus before you end up to invest in Larnaca. I want you to take us back to 2018, when you actually first visited Cyprus, and try to explain to us your rationale behind this decision.
Of Larnaca.
Of Larnaca.
So, like every beautiful story, our story actually of Larnaca happens by accident, because 2018, when Yogi and me came first to Cyprus, we came to find a very good opportunity in real estate in Limassol, like all Israelis are doing, because there is only Limassol in Cyprus, it was then, and we started to look for good opportunities. And one night when I was heading back home, it was before TUS was operated there, so they canceled my flight and I had to stop in Larnaca, which I never saw. It was just a stop while in the way. And I wake up early in the morning and I was walking around the street and I was shocked. I was really impressed. And I actually fall in love with the charming little streets and with the authentic atmosphere, with the energy of the city, and mainly with the potential. Because I really saw a city that has it all, but it's missing everything. It was missing design, it was missing a live at night, urban feeling, it was missing some other tourists and people that can be there and enjoy. It was missing all the culture and culinary scene. And since we are real estate people, and whoever is a real estate person can relate to that, we are actually storytellers. And this is a story to tell. So Larnaca was a very big story to tell for us, and we decided to be in Larnaca. Today, 6 years after, we have 4 projects that we buy the land, we plant, we build, we sell to our clients, and we are actually manage it for them. It's residential and hospitalities. We are 2 more on the way that we are just planning. And it's feeling for me that Larnaca really appreciate the new design that we brought to the city and the new vibe that our projects are bringing to the city. So it's not only about why we choose Larnaca because it's the city that we knew that we're going to do more money. It's also the city that we knew exactly how we can fulfill the city needs. And the city needs were there in our forte that we could bring back to the city, all these values and all these extra things that we can give to the city.
Nimrod, can you explain how the actual Cyprus economy had any, if, impact on your business?
Yeah, sure. Continue what I said before. And again, so I said before that the economy, as we see, as Israelis, we are tracking all the time about the indexes, about the economics, about the future, trying to understand what the government is doing as well as other things in order to attract a lot of investors. You know, to expand the area, the main area of business, you know, in the main area in which we are going to invest. So, and again, Cyprus we saw as something that went into strategic plan, that it was very important. For sure, from time to time there are some difficulties how to invest, but first of all, it's very important to define a strategy. So when we see that someone, in this case, the government is defining strategy, so something that we say, okay, the government knows and planning where to direct. It's not enough. After that, it's going to see what's going on in the main sectors that finally bring, in our business, bring passengers, traffic. So the real estate area, as we heard here, so and we know all of you, that is something that it's very attractive, not just to Israelis, I believe, but a lot of Israelis are coming in the last years. Because of the unstable situation in Israel, because it's very close physically, because the opportunities in Israel to buy apartment is very, very costly, and the yield is very low. So as long as country like Cyprus is planning in advance, and you can see business plan, and you can see very serious people here from the side of lawyers, for example. We are the foreigners. First of all, before we are doing something, after we decide to go, but then we have to check the regulation. We have to check, okay, with the lawyers, with the local lawyers, the main expert one that knows how it's working, how to form even a company, new company. So, and does it work? Is it working like the Israeli law? Yes or not? So in our case, it was very easy to understand from the side of the lawyer that it's quite easy, quite fast, quite more of the same like in Israel. But the most important, we felt comfort that we are in good hands of lawyers that leading us to the right place, because it doesn't worth anything to make some major mistake. This is not us. So this is first of all. So I talked about the economic that we saw and analyzed that is going quite well. Okay, there are difficulties, but going to a couple of very important sectors like real estate, like hotels, tourism, and even a little bit agricultures, and even, I can say that again, from the side of the airline, we are importing a lot of fishes to Israel. Yeah, so it's another source of income. So we saw all this production line that is working and going like, the main parameters that we evaluate over time.
Being complementary to aviation.
Yeah. In the complementary to aviation, and again, mainly the tourism, which is very important for the economics of the country. We saw all the time the progress, which is amazing. Good quality, good service, very good value for money. And the other side, as I said before, real estate is something that we see that the growth, and again, it's not enough that the growth is coming just from the Israeli side. It's much more important that we'll see from other places, like from Britain, like from other Western European countries, and even from the Eastern side, yeah. So we can see that it's not just dependent on one kind of investors.
If I may ask,
So-
which destinations are you serving now?
As the airline,
Yes.
we are flying from Larnaca to Tel Aviv, couple of times every day, all over the week, from Paphos as well, mainly in the summer. In the summertime, we are flying as well from Israel to other Greek islands all over the area. From Larnaca, we flew to Düsseldorf, we are flying to Heraklion, in the summer to other Greek islands. And right now, we are working on the strategy to expand our abilities to be not just dependent on Israel, and to fly and to head more flights out of Larnaca to other places in Europe.
Thank you very much. Einat, investing in a foreign country like Cyprus, despite its proximity to Israel and obvious advantages, may sometimes be challenging, especially in a very competitive sector like real estate. Could you name the one most important challenge you faced, and also the most rewarding achievement in these 6 years you have been in Cyprus?
Only one?
Well, if you can name
I mean,
two, by all
besides
means.
banks, besides regulation, besides VAT, besides all these obvious things
Well,
that
hopefully
everyone knows.
the positive ones.
I had a conversation out there before, and I think that I have a different answer than I would think before. I think that the most challenging thing for us in Cyprus is when we are trying to think out of the box and we are trying to do something different and to bring something special that doesn't exist here in Cyprus. It's very, very hard to achieve it. And I will give you 2 examples, the first one, not even from a real estate. We wanted to make a vegan, healthy, special restaurant bar in Larnaca, in our place, in Live Mackenzie. I don't think that was even one Cypriot supportive for that, because all the Cypriot told me it will never work. This is not Tel Aviv, this is not even Athens, don't even think about it, it's not Europe. Cypriot will never stay in a healthy vegan restaurant. They need their meat, they need their pork, they need their even at least fish. Fast forward for today, a year after, this restaurant is an extremely success. It's full of people all the time, and it's all Cypriot people sitting there. So sometimes you have to fight and really believe in your vision. I give another example of my real estate experience. We decided to make a very special real estate project, kind of resort with 300 apartments. It's called Cyprus Valley. 1,000 meters of wellness center, culinary hub, WeWork, and we decided to make it in Pila, Larnaca. This is going to be a new destination for high-tech companies, people, for the relocation people. And when we just went out to the market here, everybody was saying to me, it's a very nice idea, but why Larnaca? Do it in Limassol. No companies, high-tech company will never go to Larnaca. Relocation people will go to Nicosia, to Limassol, but not to Larnaca. So if you believe in something and you are thinking out of the box and you want to break the rules, you really need to insist, because the Cypriot authorities, banks, friends, they find it very hard to believe in something that doesn't exist yet, and when you want to break rules, you have to fight for that. As per the other points, what was it? What is my...
Well, achievements.
Achievements.
Rewarding achievements.
I think that the most rewarding thing in Larnaca, in Cyprus, is the people. Because whatever we do, We have our partners or professional consultants or employees, people that we work with, and it's not only about the people and about the professional way, it's about the people that are becoming a family. And since we are spending here a lot of time, I live in Israel, but I'm here every week, at least 2-3 days. Yogi made a relocation here. We have 50 employees, locals, and we have 20 Israelis ones. So you need to have a way of family, and this is what you people, the Cypriot people, are giving us, so we can make this journey very enjoyable, and thank you for that.
Ronnie, you have completed the acquisition of Grand Resort, the opening of Nick's Hotel in Limassol, and you have announced a new project in Paphos, the Leonardo Club Lachi. Grand Resort is a typical 5-star beach hotel in Limassol. Nick's is a city business hotel in Limassol. Leonardo is a hotel for families, 100% diversity. Any more surprises to come? Perhaps a hotel in Nicosia?
First of all, let me correct you. Nick's in Limassol it is not just a hotel. It became a flag of the city, a lifestyle entertainment center. The hotel is running on a very high occupancy, and also the Limassolians, the people from the city, are coming in.
I've been there, I like it, it's beautiful.
Yeah. This is part of the concept. It comes from Nichta, the Greek Nichta, lifestyle, nightlife. And right now we have 18 hotels all over Europe. We also opened a year ago Nick's in Athens, which is very, very successful, and it brings something else. The Grand Resort, we fully renovated. We spent another 20 million, and the hotel is totally new, and we are building up a totally different concept as a 5-star resort. About Lachi, we know that the country is investing in the roads. We knew that it's a destination that even Cypriots really appreciate. The Blue Lagoon area, etc., it's famous. ANASA did quite a good job. We're not going to call it as a club. We are taking it on a higher level of destination as a 5-star family resort. When you have there the ANASA, which is a very high quality, but not as a family resort, we are going to emphasize on a family resort. Nicosia, we are in. Actually, we started to build it before Corona. Unfortunately, we needed to stop, and now we are in a negotiation with the mayor in order to maybe to start doing it very fast. It will be another Nick's, part of this different concept, as it is in Athens and in Limassol, not just as a hotel to bring something else to the city. You know, you don't have a sea here, so we want to bring you something else into your beautiful city here.
Yeah. Well, some decades ago, we had a candidate for a mayor that promised to bring sea here. Unfortunately, he wasn't elected, so we missed that. Thank you, Ronnie. We can have some questions from the audience, from you guys. If there's anybody that wants to answer, to ask something from our panelists, I shall be happy to answer.
Everything is very clear, you know.
Everything is very clear. Well, then, the last question. Any advices, any recommendations for Israeli investors or general investors that they are willing to come and invest in Cyprus?
I would like to make some recommendation to the country.
By all means, one.
Yeah. I think that there's no, it's very obvious that the country has to base on tourism. First of all, we talked with Nimrod about aviation. Aviation is the top important in order, this is an island. And we need to have the island, as mentioned by Nimrod, to have aviation all year round. So we are expecting the country, together with the aviation companies, and this is how it has to start, subsidies, plans, etc., from either different destinations to enlarge the segmentations in order to bring more segmentations, and in order to bring from other countries, other aviations, and to make the season wider. You know, it's a pity for the country. The country is paying huge money for the employees that they don't work on winter, you know it. And we are trying to do our best, but we cannot do it ourselves in order to enlarge the season and in order to have all hotels working 365 days a year. Of course, the country needs to keep on investing in roads, in any infrastructures around. I think that Cyprus has a unique, it is a unique destination. It has a great weather, excellent foods, excellent culture, and we need to do our best together with the country to bring more tourism. This is the future of this country.
Nimrod?
Recommendation for Israelis?
Recommendations for Israel?
This is the question.
Any closing comment
Okay.
that you wish?
Recommendation, first of all, to fly just 2 stairways. For Israelis. But, and again,
don't
there
bring
are,
beepers with you.
but there are other Israeli great airlines like El Al, Orchestra, flight with everybody, also with your Cyprus Airlines, Cyprus, everybody is flying and it's okay, and it's good for the economy, good for the people, good for the connection, for the connectivity. About in average every hour, even less, there is a flight. So it's amazing. It was not in the past, and it's going to continue. The confidence here, and again, I came the last 3 years, maybe 50 times. Every 2 weeks I'm coming for a couple of hours, or a day or 2 days. The feeling for the Israeli, mainly this very, very complicated, the bedtime for the Israelis. We can see, and again, I said before that the drop in the traffic from Israel to other places in the world, was in great numbers because the lack of confidence after the war of what happened in the October 7, unfortunately. But we saw, I said before, to Cyprus, people continue to fly. It's the same numbers. It's amazing. It's something that it's not coming from anywhere. It's coming from the fact that, first of all, people would like to feel confidence, secured. This is the first thing. After that, if all the other things, the business is going well, like regulation, people, as I said before, tourism, real estate, all of that come after, but it completes the basis. So all of this, and again, I saw the numbers of the Israelis. This is the main recommendation. Look on your friend, look on your people, your family. Everybody is coming to Cyprus. So I believe that as long as the country will continue to do what it did in the last years, and I'm really sure that the growth from the Israeli market will keep continued.
Einat?
I think that since the Israeli market is coming more and more, especially like my colleagues just were saying, with all the advantage that we all know that we have in Cyprus, and with all what's happening in Israel, we will see more and more Israelis here. And I do believe that we have everything in order to do more business and to buy more apartments and to stay here more. But there is one difference between the Cypriot people and the Israeli people regarding business, and it's about rhythm. Because as my colleagues were saying, that they are building step by step the business. When Israelis, and I'm saying the same, when Israelis are saying step by step, it's not the same step by step as a Cypriot. And we always say siga siga, quickly quickly, because the siga siga of Cyprus is a very big difference with the rhythm of the Israelis. And once we're going to gap into it, I think more Israelis will be able to do more business here, and it can be really a paradise.
So pretty much the message that siga siga of
Come on, let's do something.
to be speed up.
Please speed up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we're done with these panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your insights and incredible panel stages and for your moderation. I do keep that, when we're talking about business, connectivity is extremely important, especially if you happen to be geographically situated in the southeastern corner of the Mediterranean. And the introduction to Cyprus always comes through, the hotel industry where they stay. And the narrative, Einat, that you pointed out, the narrative they have to say, and the narratives and the stories they create, but I do keep that it's about the passionate vision and see where things are going to go. So thank you for adding to the story of Cyprus. Now allow me, I'm going to wear a different hat, and I'll have the pleasure to moderate the next panel, because after you're introduced to this narrative of this island, then you start thinking, where am I going to stay? So here comes the real estate perspective. It is my pleasure to moderate the next panel, and with me, I have the honor to have Mr. George Chrysochos, the Executive Director of Cyphil Group. Please join me on the right-hand side, the right part of the stage, and I'll be joining you in a while. Mr. Brian Osborne, Business Development Manager of Leptos Estates. There you are. And Mr. Rash Brar, Business Development Manager of Karantina Homes. Let's talk about real estate, homes and commercial and residential, because they always go together. And I've been talking, actually about 3 days ago, we have a lot of business with Israeli tech companies and deep tech companies, and they've been asking me, especially lately, obviously, what's the cost of real estate, et cetera, what's happening, and that's something, but I'd like to take it from a bit different perspective, George, and I'm sure we'll get some incredible insights from you. So what is the market profile in Cyprus, and what are the demand and supply dynamics, and how do they affect the prices?
Sure. Indeed, real estate is one of the driving forces of Cyprus economy. It's now the third most important sector in the economy and very closely associated with economic growth. Thank you for inviting us to this event. I see many familiar faces. It feels like a reunion sometimes. But yes, so what we've seen in the real estate this year, we've had 1.8% increase in transactions compared to the first half of 23. And everybody in the industry thought that 23 was a honeymoon year, that we will never have such a year again. It's the best year ever. So everybody expected adjustment. And here we are, to everybody's surprise, even to the key stakeholders of the industry, the transactions are still strong. And why is that happening? Real estate, just like everything around us, is supply and demand dynamics, right? So we will have to split the demand and the supply and analyze the drivers that show this trend. We can see that in the demand, we have the local buyers, Cypriots, and the people who live here, and also the foreign internationals who are relocating or buying for investment or for vacation home. So regarding the local population who is buying real estate in Cyprus, they're driven by salary increase and the bank's willingness to lend money, mortgage. We've heard the banks earlier today talking their willingness to lend and grow and expand their businesses. So Even though the interest rates have been higher than 22 or 21, and there's a downward trend, of course, people are still lending easily, relatively easily. Internationals are also lending relatively easily from the banks. So we expect the local demand to remain strong. On the other side, the successful policies for headquartering and other incentives, quality of life and the taxes, which I'm sure we're going to analyze later as well, that make Cyprus such an attractive destination means that there's also a strong demand from abroad. Now, on the supply side, currently there's two issues. The first of all is that the industry has reached a bottleneck in terms of construction capability. So it's not that easy to increase the supply of homes in the market. And that is one of the drivers that keeps the prices high. Additionally, we've seen a lot of increase in new built houses in the cost of construction, mainly due to labor increase this year. I know last year and 22 we were talking about inflation of construction materials, which is not the case anymore. But now we're talking about labor increase. There has been a 10%, according to SciStat, of labor increase in the construction industry. Therefore, both of the strong demand and the low supply is keeping the prices high and keep rising. So this year we have also seen a change in the way that permits are issued. And until we find the way to expedite and streamline the process, we have also seen a slowdown in the permit issuance, which is another factor limiting supply and keeping the prices where they are now. So real estate in Cyprus is strong, will remain strong. It's a safe investment that will keep increasing due to these factors that we just analyzed.
Now, we start a bit in reverse, but I'd like you to also tell me a bit about yourself and introduce, because I want you to, very briefly, of course, also tell me about your vision.
Okay.
Of course, related to.
Yeah, of course.
In context.
Yeah, my name is George. We come from Cyprus. Cyprus is the biggest contractor in Cyprus. We are mainly a construction company, contractors. We currently do the most amount of public projects, infrastructure projects, but as well as building projects. And we also do development. Since we know how to bake the bread, we are selling the bread. Therefore, we are developing in various areas of Cyprus, and we also invested heavily into energy projects. Therefore, whatever we do is very local. We utilize about 2,500 people in terms of employment and activities and subcontractors that we have. And really what we want to see is Cyprus growing. The success of Cyprus is the success of our company. Therefore, whatever we do is always associated with the projection of Cyprus and how Cyprus is going in order to make sure that our offerings and our products always align with the needs of the market.
Thank you. Yeah. Otherwise, nobody lives in a vacuum. Brian, coming over to you, and I met you last night, and I did hear that you're in between worlds in the sense that you also live or are very present in Tel Aviv. Tell us a bit about yourself before I go right into my question.
Thanks, Dariana. So my name is Brian Osborne. I'm the Business Development Manager for Israel for the Leptos Group of companies, which is arguably one of the biggest employers on the island. We are involved in Limassol and Paphos. We have a privately owned hospital, university, hotels, and we've been very strong with Israel dating back to the 1960s, before my time, but I was told to remind all of us that back in the day ships were coming to Cyprus and the love affair with Israel and Cyprus started, but then it stopped. But I'm glad that we're back here to discuss it again. For the last 3 years, the love affair is very strong between the two countries.
So what are the key advantages that make Cyprus stand out as an international business hub, Brian, compared to other EU countries, obviously?
I think, again, Nimrod's point is very, very valid. The reason I got on a plane to go to Israel is because there were so many more flights to Israel. So I think the record is 134 flights per week. So Israelis were coming to us, and we started to go to them. So the love affair started again, and then obviously people were arriving in Paphos and Larnaca, and as I see now, the local numbers, 2.7 million visitors this year, 14 to 15% are Israeli. And then obviously when you land in a new country as a holiday maker or a business planner or person, you start to look at opportunity. And then Cyprus again has evolved. I've been living here since 2008. I'm originally from South Africa. You know, the tax regime has changed many times to become more attractive for offshore business, whether it's high net worth individual, whether it's setting up your own company. And the big thing with Israel, of course, is high tech. So I've had the privilege of meeting some very, very smart youngsters. And Cyprus intellectual property or software development, the taxes here are incredibly low. So we're going through an evolution between the two countries. We're learning a lot from Israel. As I heard, Cyprus is a bit slower, but we do have our own pace. But again, attracting this high brain power is very important for us, people living in Cyprus. And then I think also we have 4 main cities. Limassol is trying to become a Tel Aviv. The population is only 200,000 to 300,000, whereas Tel Aviv is 4.4 million. But the landscape is similar with the high-rise buildings starting. And our key advantage, in my opinion, is that we are blessed with a new casino resort, which is the biggest in the European Union, which attracts a lot of Israelis and many other people. We have a golf course coming, which Israel only has 1 in the whole country. I think it's our 6th or 7th. And also if you look at the marina, that whole area to the west where we have a development, is the new Silicon Valley of the Levant or the Eastern Mediterranean, whereby all sorts of companies from all around the world, but in particular Israel, want to set up shop and take advantage of our fantastic tax regime. And then we'll be blessed because we'll be learning a lot from people across the pond in the Eastern Med.
Thank you, Brian. Over to Raj. I think, you should introduce yourself because everybody sees Melina, long hair on the picture.
No, that's my Instagram picture. They have taken my Instagram picture.
Tinder.
Yeah. Tinder sometimes, not always. I'm Raj. I'm the Business Development Manager. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm the Business Development Manager for Quarantina Homes. We are real estate developers based only in Paphos. We are focused on high-end resorts. We are building hotels. We are building high-rise buildings, some commercial properties, mid-scale properties as well. But all our construction is limited to Paphos. We are doing everything in Paphos. Most of you probably have been to some of our resorts already. We focus a lot on having a combination of residential with a lot of facilities. So properties which they come with added services and facilities like concierge, multiple dining options, over 10 restaurants, spas, horse ranches, a farm, sporting facilities. So that's what we are focusing it at as Quarantina Homes, as a group.
You kind of started, cut me before I actually asked it, because I understand you're attracting a lot of lifestyle clients, or I would say people that also like to take care of their life in general and create a good life around them. So what are the requirements that usually these clients have?
Well, most of these clients who we are attracting for lifestyle purposes, number one thing, of course, without a doubt, is safety. So we focus a lot on security and safety. Most of our resorts and projects are gated. They're properly manned. Generally, Cyprus is a very safe country, but we want to keep it that way. We have our own security personnel keeping it very safe. Plus, the lifestyle clients, they really care about hassle-free environments, They already are high achievers, most of them in their personal lives. They want to come to a place where they can switch off, enjoy the peace of Cyprus, the pace of Cyprus. So what we do as a company, and we focus at, we take all their day-to-day hassles away, you know. As a company, we have everything in-house. We look after the management of the properties. Through our concierge system, we offer support, like we have our own drivers, our own nannies. We do even grocery shopping for our clients. The other thing which lifestyle clients, they care for is entertainment. So as a resort, we make sure that we do a lot of events. We brought so many big names from Greece. We're trying to bring Noah Carell as well, but let's see. But we brought a lot of big names from Greece. We do concerts. We keep them engaged. So in a combination of high-end properties with all these facilities and services in a safe environment, that's what we are focusing at, you know, and that's what I believe the lifestyle clients really care for.
Thank you, Raj. Now, I have a bit of a provocative question for all three of you, since it takes a village to raise a child, and it does take a village to raise a company. So tell me about cities. Now, we've heard about Larnaca. There are strong views about Nicosia, even though, yes, it has no sea, so, you know, if that's a factor, maybe not. So tell me about cities. Which one do you think, not just your favorite one, obviously, we're not going to go into that. I mean, cities of Cyprus, which one do you think has the most potential going forward?
Cyprus is
George?
very small, so
Yeah.
I don't really distinguish between cities. I mean, anyone can be anywhere within half an hour, 40 minutes. So, and people who come from Israel, they know what traffic in Israel is, right? So we have in our company employees commuting from Limassol, from Larnaca every day to Nicosia, the other way around. And we have projects all the way from Verinia to Akamas. So, and people who execute these projects, they live either in Nicosia or Limassol, and they keep changing. So Cyprus is too small to distinguish between cities. Of course, living by the sea has a lifestyle advantage, but people should choose the town to locate in Cyprus based on their need. I mean, if you are a financial services company or a regulated entity and you want to be near the decision-making places and all the authorities and all the things that are regulating you, you should be in Nicosia. If you are a shipping company or a forex company or an international IT company who is not doing any activity or very limited activity in Cyprus and all your operations and income is from abroad, you can locate in Paphos or in Limassol or in Larnaca, anywhere. If you want to be close to the airport, you want to go to Larnaca. If you like to be living a more intense lifestyle and you don't care so much about the cost of living, then Limassol is the place. If you care about the cost of living, you want something cheaper, but with some lifestyle, you can go to Larnaca. So all cities are good, all towns are good, depending on what you do and what you need. So I think all towns in Cyprus have something good to offer. Like I myself live in Nicosia, but I spend my vacations in Paphos, in Agia Napa, and everywhere. And it's very easy to move around. So that's why as a company we also like to be present everywhere for this reason, because people have different needs and we want to serve these needs everywhere.
Well, it's good to hear that every city can cater to every need. Some
Exactly,
more in some areas, some less in others, etc. Brian, what do you think about that?
I agree with George. I live in Nicosia and I travel every day to Limassol. So all the 4 cities in Cyprus are accessible. Pity we don't have a train like Israel, because that's quite handy. But yes, you know, what I've noticed from Israelis that Paphos would be a combination of Herzliya and Renana, so more of bigger houses, bigger plots of land, different kind of lifestyle, more low-key. And then Limassol is trying to become like a Tel Aviv with the nightlife and the entertainment. I bring up golf again, but Israel only has 1 golf course, so you know, the western side of the island wins. But yes, the country's small. We can get around very quickly. So each city has its pros and cons, I suppose, all very different.
Of course. And Rajan, I know you're probably going to say Paphos, but let's spin that a bit around, because I've known a lot of expats from Germany, for example. There are about 2,000 Germans, digital nomads, in Paphos that choose Paphos. So let's take that angle when you tell me about Paphos.
Well, basically, first of all, I agree with George that all cities are important, you know. I disagree with Brian. There are no cons in Paphos. Now, seriously, on a serious note, Paphos attracts a lot of European clientele, also a lot of Israelis, of course. There are a lot of reasons for that. First of all, is we have our own international airport. It's very convenient for Israelis, for example, to come over. The place has something for all age groups, you know. There are a lot of five-star hotels, golf courses, as Brian said correctly. We have most of them in Paphos. A lot of upcoming dining options. A lot of resorts like the ones we are building as well, where they're bringing Paphos to that map of the world. One thing I would mention, there's a lot to do for families in Paphos as well, you know, a lot of attractions for the kids with water parks, zoos, and things like that. But one thing what you mentioned just now, just to add on this, I mean, I've been living in Paphos myself for over a decade, I would say 14 years now. I've seen a huge shift. Like 4 or 5 years ago, even 6 years ago, most of the people who would buy in Paphos, if they're lifestyle clients, they would be elderly. They are coming, they have raised their kids, they're just coming to buy a property and retire maybe, you know. But that has completely changed in the past 5 to 6 years. There's a lot of people with younger families. They're coming over. They're building IT there has been promoted a lot in Paphos now. A lot of commercial real estate is coming up. And that has changed. That's where you would see now the international schools in Paphos, they have a huge waiting list. So that's why we want to get and build an international school ourselves as well. Because there's a lot of new families. We only have 3 international schools, 4 I would say, but we are building more now because there's a lot of young families coming over and making Paphos as a place to raise their kids and also do business regarding what you said. It's not only Germans. There are people coming from all over Europe, including Israelis as well, you know. And don't forget that it was post-COVID or during COVID, people also realized that they can work remotely. A lot more people understood that they can actually work remotely. So that adds up as well, and that gives an added benefit to Cyprus in general because of our benefits in tax regime as well, but especially Paphos. You know.
Thank you, Raj. I do have a bit of an insight about the SCI field, George, and I know you have a tech vision, and then you're adopting tech solution. How does that add value to your international clients in choosing to have a home or a second home in Cyprus or a commercial real estate?
How is it tech helping?
Yeah, tech solutions that...
Okay. So there is, tech is involved, in real estate is involved in 2 aspects. One of them is the prop tech, which is basically technology tools to help the commercial side of real estate, like data analytics and finding the right property for you and comparing to others and seeing projections and stuff like that. And then there is the technology that in building technology, what we call, which is what we incorporate in buildings and apartments. So definitely the modern lifestyle of clients in 2024 definitely needs this tech support. And of course there are many systems which can support a smart home or an Internet of Things style of thing which connects the whole neighborhood into your home as well. And people now know it and demand it, and it's not a luxury anymore. Even though 4 or 5 years ago, having a smart home automation was a luxury, now it's expected. So, of course, the industry is trying to incorporate these needs into our buildings, and this includes not just the automation, but also energy efficiency, energy consumption, smart metering, and all the other things. Yeah, so we're getting there. The technology is known, is well established. It's nothing new or innovative about it. It's all about having the funds and the energy to implement it.
Thank you. And the vision.
And the vision,
Brian, on this?
Funny, technology in homes is actually a bit of an issue for us yesterday because we're building a home and a smart home technology, and for those for Shabbat dinner or Shabbat Friday, when they have to switch off all the technology, we have an issue now with the fridges working and the aircon working, so we're being educated how to implement, because you cannot, after sunset on Friday, you cannot touch anything. So all very new to us. So this particular client from Israel was saying, I appreciate all the smart homeness, but I won't be able to open the door physically. I need a key, not an electronic to open the door. So it's something that we're learning, because it's for those that are religious and keep Shabbat, it's a bit of a story for us. So yes, the tech is amazing, but it has created a challenge, but we're learning, because I think you also can't open the fridge. The air conditioning has to be on a timer. So we are catching up with the needs of our new clientele, which is fascinating.
Raj?
I agree with Brian, what he just said. We are also learning in the tech. Technology-wise, you know, all our properties are smart home technology, which is given at that level where we are promoting ourselves and focus ourselves. Everything can be controlled by cell phone. They can literally control the pools, the lightings, everything with the cell phone. Interestingly, one other thing which is a lot of people are asking, it's a little bit different than technology. What I just want to tell you is the photovoltaics and renewable energy. People really want to focus on that. So we are thinking of a way where we can, you know, farm the solar energy for all our resorts remotely, instead of having the panels on each and every property, and have it remotely, and then produce and deliver the electricity from the solar energy to all our properties. So we are going toward that way, you know, in our vision, because a lot of people are asking for this, and Cyprus is a great country to have this, you know. Yeah.
Thank you. And since we got a bit more than 5 minutes, let's take 3 minutes, you know, 1 minute each for your closing remarks, and then I would like to open it for Q&A if there are any. So I'm giving you a bit of a warning. If you have any questions, send them in over Slido. Well, we have our panel here. So Raj, your closing remarks.
I would just like to say that, you know, personally, when I first came to Cyprus, I was blown away by how welcoming and there's a genuine hospitality in Cypriots, you know. And this is what is one of the most attractive things for a lot of nationalities when they come to Cyprus. And I always share this story. When I first was in Nicosia once, I just helped an elderly couple with their gas cylinder to get it in their property. There was an elderly couple in winters. I just helped them to install their gas cylinder and their heater. And I'm not kidding, I didn't understand a word of Greek, but this lady, this Yaya and Papoose, they brought everything what they had in the refrigerator and they laid just in front of me, you know. So I still remember that, and from that time onwards, I've been part of this now, that how hospitable Cypriots generally are, irrespective of what city we are talking about. And I see a lot of similarities with Israelis. For example, Cypriots, they love traveling within family, they love raising their kids with the grandparents. There's the same thing I see with the Israeli clients we have. They want to be close to Israel because they want to raise their kids close to their grandparents so that they can travel or they can travel back. So Cyprus is, I mean, without a doubt, is one of the best options, I believe, what we have seen for the Israeli market. It's very convenient to get here as well. So for me, it's just a natural bridge between Israel and Cyprus. We are very happy to have Israeli clients. And Brian said earlier, we're also learning about the cultures. By far, I mean, Cyprus is amazing food, but Israeli food is amazing as well. You know, I love to try that sometimes. You travel to Tel Aviv, it's one of the best restaurants. So also we see now in Paphos a lot of chefs coming from Israel and they're opening their restaurants. So I just want to say that it's a common, very similar culture. We are very happy and we are very welcoming and we are waiting for you. We will look after you, always. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Raj. Brian?
Thanks, Raj. Totally agree with what Raj mentioned. The love affair between the two countries is incredible. I think in 10 years' time, they'll make a Netflix series on what happened between the two countries.
Find me falling.
I mean it sincerely. I mean, I've been to Jerusalem many times, whether you go to the Holy Church of Sepulchre or the Kotel or the Temple Mount. Israel is such an interesting, complicated country, but it is such an important country to the world. It's got a very bad reputation at the best of times and at the worst of times, but it is what it is. But Cyprus has been part of this situation, this evolution, this friendship. And as Raj mentioned, it's in the Levant, so it's the same culture, food, family values, business ethics, cutting corners if they need to. So they're very similar, Eastern Mediterranean, Levant. It's just that we forgot each other for so long, but now we're back thanks to the airlines. And now we're working closely, and I'll be there next week if anyone wants to see me for a coffee or arak. Hopefully next week.
Thank you, Brian. George, for your closing remarks.
Yeah, I want to emphasize again the resilience and the safety of Cyprus real estate, and that investing in the industry will keep your money safe and your investment secured. Cyprus is a paradox. Whenever there is some geopolitical crisis around the world or around our region where it negatively affects other countries, Cyprus is flourishing. We show signs of strong economic growth, which comes from, of course, population growth as well. Unemployment is zero. There is actually an issue with lack of employment. And the interest rates, as we've heard, are dropping. So everything shows a strong drivers for real estate, in addition to some measures taken by the government lately to increase the affordable housing or expediting the permits. So overall, it draws a very, very positive outlook, a very positive picture for real estate in Cyprus. Therefore, whoever is thinking about it should do it now. Now is the time. Always real estate is on an upward trend. So it's every yesterday is better, we say, in real estate.
Thank you, George. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions from our lovely audience? Yes, we have one. Oh, there's a mic coming to you.
So I think my question will go to Mr. George. What are the major infrastructure projects currently underway in Cyprus that could influence the real estate values?
Real estate values?
Values, yeah.
Okay. So we've been having a very long, promising marina in Larnaca. Hopefully one day we're going to see it, despite all the trouble. That will bring a huge influx of apartments and also another entry point to Cyprus. So if that occurs, of course, it's going to help, because a marina is considered an infrastructure project. So that will definitely help the real estate in Cyprus and bring more people and investors and help the area around Larnaca as well. We see one of the biggest issues of Cyprus is electricity cost. It's very high compared to Israel and other European countries. So again, something that will help the economy and real estate in general is a gas project that hopefully will be completed by next year. Again, that's another project with a little bit of issues at the moment, but hopefully it will be completed and will decrease the cost of electricity by 30 to 40%. And then we have a network of infrastructure projects, road construction in Cyprus, the Paphos Polis highway, the Limassol-Saitas highway, and the Astromeridis-Evrivou highway, the Lefkosia-Palehori highway. These projects are going to increase the real estate values in the villages surrounding the cities and increase accessibility. We see a boom in construction in Platres, Moniatis, and other villages in the mountains of Limassol, mainly due to the highway, which is the first phase is going to finish in 4 months, and then the other 2 phases in the next 5 years, 6 years. So there is a heavy investment on behalf of the government utilizing the Connective Euro Facility funds from the European Union to make Cyprus accessible to everyone. And the dream is that you will be able to go from Limassol to Nicosia through a highway, through the mountains. So that will happen in about 15 years. So I do think that this will bring Cyprus closer to each other. And areas like Polis and Nakamas and Lachi will also develop. And in general, it's very promising. These heavy infrastructure investments are happening now.
Thank you. So from snow to sea, very, very soon and very fast. Thank you, gentlemen, for the insightful
Thank you.
comments and panels. Now, we are going to look at the Cyprus Investment Fund framework as a vehicle for Israeli groups to penetrate the European market, and it is my pleasure to invite Mr. Haris Ashodis, Executive Director, Head of Portfolio Management and Funds Manager at Eurofast.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Haris Ashodis. I'm here to present how Cyprus alternative investment funds can serve as a strategic entry point for Israeli businesses into the European Union market. What did I do? Cyprus is becoming a key player in the European investment fund industry, offering a flexible and cost-effective platform for international businesses to access the EU market. With its proximity, favorable regulatory framework, and tax advantages, Cyprus presents an ideal opportunity for Israeli groups to expand into Europe. Cyprus offers several advantages that make it a top choice for setting up investment funds. First, the country's alternative investment funds regulation is built on EU directives, providing a balance between investor protection and marketability throughout the EU under the EU single passport regime. Second are its competitive setup and operational cost. Cyprus is not only cost efficient, but also easy to maintain as a domicile for investment funds. Next, Cyprus operates under an English-based legal system, the common law, ensuring clarity and reliability. Furthermore, Cyprus offers tax incentives that provide significant advantages. You'll also find support from highly sophisticated legal, financial services, and tax professionals, adding further confidence for businesses looking to expand into Europe. Last but not least, Cyprus's stable political and economic environment and strategic location near Israel make it an ideal gateway into the EU. One of the greatest advantages of setting up an alternative investment fund in Cyprus is access to the EU's single passport system. A single registration or licensing in Cyprus allows you to manage and market funds across all EU member states. This streamlined regulator-to-regulator notification mechanism simplifies regulatory compliance, making it easier to reach a broad investor base throughout the EU. Cyprus's legal framework is aligned with the European Union's directives, which ensure high standards of investor protection while providing flexibility for fund managers. For example, the EU Alternative Investment Fund Managers Directive governs the setup, operations, and reporting requirements of fund managers. Cyprus follows its own Alternative Investment Fund Managers Law, in addition to the Cyprus Alternative Investment Funds Law, ensuring that Cyprus complies fully with EU legal standards. In practical terms, this means that an Israeli business setting up an alternative investment fund in Cyprus enjoys full access to the European market with reliable and compliant structures. The Cyprus Funds framework accommodates for a variety of fund types and legal forms, suitable to different asset classes, different types of investors, and different investment objectives and strategies. Cyprus currently offers 3 types of alternative investment funds. The alternative investment fund of unlimited number of persons, the alternative investment fund of limited number of persons, and the registered alternative investment fund. Cyprus also offers a wide variety of legal structures for the alternative investment funds tailored to different investor needs, which include the fixed capital investment company, the variable capital investment companies, limited partnerships, and common funds. Each structure offers different flexibility depending on your business objectives, asset classes, and investor profiles. Sorry about that. Now, let's go a bit into detail about the different types of funds to understand their differences and how they offer flexibility. The alternative investment fund of a limited number of persons is ideal for large-scale investments with no cap or limit on investor numbers or assets under management, and is open to all fund strategies. This fund type allows for the free transfer of investor shares and can be listed on recognized stock exchanges. It's especially useful for businesses targeting retail investors alongside professional investors. For smaller, more exclusive setups, the alternative investment fund of limited number of persons is a good option. It is limited to 50 investors and primarily promoted to family offices and high net worth individuals, with depository requirements that can be waived under certain conditions and lower initial capital requirements. This structure provides great flexibility. Registered Alternative Investment Fund is currently the most popular among the 3 types of funds due to its simplified setup. It does not require authorization from the regulator and can be launched within just 1 month from the date of filing a duly completed notification pack to SISEC. This makes it a perfect solution for businesses seeking rapid market entry into the EU. Now, this concludes this part of the first part of the presentation. Cyprus AIFs offer Israeli businesses a cost-effective and efficient way to access the European market. A combination of EU-wide passporting, regulatory ease, tax benefits, and strategic geographic proximity to Israel makes Cyprus an ideal jurisdiction for expanding your business into Europe. We encourage you to explore how setting up a Cyprus Alternative Investment Fund can benefit your business and help you access the EU market. I will now turn it over to Mr. Christos Theophilou, a tax expert, who will cover the crucial subject of tax implications of Cyprus Alternative Investment Funds. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Harry, for the presentation. And let me welcome everybody, especially our guests coming from Israel, and hope that Cyprus is treating you well. Today, I will be presenting about the taxation of investment funds. And taxation of investment funds, I will try in the next 10 minutes to provide you a holistic approach, how we structure funds from a tax perspective and an international perspective. I am Christos Theophilou. I am one of the partners of Tax and Cyprus, and today my goal is to explain you the 4 levels that we structure investment funds from an international perspective. These 4 levels, we typically follow
the round of money. So we start from the investors level, where the investor is a resident. The investor will typically inject the money in a fund. Typically, these two will not be in the same state. The fund will inject the money in turn into the country where the investments are located. And then the money will probably hire someone like Harris will be your fund manager in order to manage your investments. So typically these four entities are placed in different jurisdictions. So you need to have an idea of the implications of 4 different jurisdictions, or 3 or 2. It really depends whether they coincide or not. And of course, the international angle that combines these 4 jurisdictions. Now, let me begin with some general tax implications of investment funds in Cyprus. In a very simple format, an investment fund, let's assume this will be a hedge fund. This hedge fund will have 3 types of income. It will typically have dividend income or income from sale of shares. So these types of income are typically excluded from our tax code, and therefore the income of hedge funds in Cyprus are tax-free. We also have some funds that they also have interest income because you want to finance your activities, and this finance income, which is effectively your interest income, is typically taxed on a 12.5%. However, you can get a tax break which is called notional interest deduction, and this notional interest deduction will effectively limit your tax payable only on your interest income to 2.5%. So in a very narrow and brief perspective, a fund in Cyprus will normally not be taxable. If you have interest income, that interest income will normally be low taxed. Now, something else that we also see in Cyprus is that if you have, we see a lot of real estate funds and so on. Real estate, if the real estate is located in Cyprus, then such real estate will be taxable. If you have a foreign immovable property, such foreign immovable property will not be taxable. This will happen either directly or indirectly. So if you own the property, the immovable property via a company, you still will be taxable in case you sell indirectly your shares, unless the shares are held by a recognized stock exchange. And let me compare them a bit with Luxembourg. So Luxembourg, you already know, it's a very famous jurisdiction. There are no funds there. However, the way that the funds are taxable in Luxembourg is based on your net asset value. So they have a net asset value, and there is a tax, a small percentage on that part. So effectively, if you have a hedge fund in Cyprus, you will normally not be paying any taxes, whereas if you have the same hedge fund in Luxembourg, you will be paying some tax. Now, let's put everything into practice. So, I have a question after that, but if you want, I can take it around, whatever works for you. I will say Isle of Man, I'm not an expert on tax Isle of Man, but I expect that Isle of Man will not tax you. So this is my expectation. But this is a very good example because we can compare it right now with tax treaties. So I'm moving off from the domestic law, we go to tax treaties law. Cyprus has a wide range of tax treaties, so you can use them in order to eliminate the tax in the tax structuring that we're going to see on the next slide. And we also have access to the EU, other than what Harris mentioned about the EU directives. I mean, for funds, we also have the EU tax directives, like interest securities, mergers, and so on, that can reduce the withholding taxes paid from the investments within the EU. Let's say you invest in Germany to Cyprus. Now, when the money flow back, I mean, from the fund to the investor state, there will be typically no withholding taxes, unless that if you are in a blacklisted jurisdiction by the EU. So whatever we're discussing here, guys, of course, they are subject to certain limitations, subject to certain conditions, but this is a general idea. Now, let's be practical. This is a theory. Let's see how it works in practice. Now, you are an investor, you are a millionaire, you have money, you diversify your income, you will not put all your eggs in one basket. I'm not a fund manager, but my grandfather was saying that. So probably he's right. So you need to invest in another jurisdiction. So you can invest in another jurisdiction, but you are going to ask, okay, how would I do that? So I pick up a fund. So I will inject my money in a fund. Probably the fund will not be in my jurisdiction because I have the option to choose the location that fits me. Since I have the option, legal persons are highly mobile, I can register a company whenever I like. So I choose another jurisdiction. Let's assume this is Cyprus. When I finance my fund, there is only two ways, either debt or equity. So it's either debt capital or share capital. Now, proactively, when you inject your money, there are no tax implications. But if you want to be proactive, you want to go to a tax advisor and advise you that if you inject your money as equity, you will see down the road that you will get a notional interest deduction on that part. Or if you inject your money as debt, then you get the interest expense, but you need to consider transfer pricing rules because that part of the debt might be characterized as equity and the portion of your interest might not be allowed. Now, you inject your money and you are going to do the same to your affiliates. So you are an investor, let's say you're located in Israel, you have a fund in Cyprus, and you want to make an investment in Portugal, Germany, Egypt, whatever, you name it. Now, again, you have two options to inject your money. However, from a tax structuring perspective, you want to inject it as debt because the investment state, it will have interest expense to lower your tax base. So to a large extent, we always inject the money where the real estate, for example, is located via debt to get the tax break of the interest expense. Now, the key issue, and here is where you differ from Isle of Man, is that if you invest, for example, in Portugal, Germany, US, whatever, you would like a treaty to pop in to reduce the withholding taxes from the investment state where your investments are to the fund. I presume that in general, all these exotic jurisdictions like BVI, Seychelles, Isle of Man, and so on, because they don't levy taxes, they don't have a wide tax treaty network. So they lack of this, I would say, benefit when there are payments made from the investment state to the fund. The other consideration is that you would like to get your transfer pricing right, because if not, and you have interest expense, that expense, the excessive interest, might be deducted. And then you end up, what will be the taxation at the level of the fund in Cyprus? Here, the good news is that if there is interest income, it will be taxable. But if you have dividends, capital gains tax on shares, so on, this is effectively tax-free. Also, if you sell your immovable property outside. But even if your interest income that will be taxable, you can get a credit on that. And at the end of the day, you might have an expense, but no tax payable. So what do I mean about that? If, for example, at the level of the investment here, you pay a withholding tax 2.5%, so the treaty reduces the withholding tax of interest, let's say from 30% to 2.5%. That foreign tax paid here, you will get it credit here. So in Cyprus, you will going to have a tax expense, let's say, I don't know, 100, but at the end of the day, you are going to get credit relief for the foreign tax paid. So at the end of the day, you are not going to pay any taxes actually. So in your financials, you are going to see an expense, but actually no money going out of your pocket in Cyprus. Then, last but not least, you are going to repatriate the money back to the investor. The investor always wants to get the money. That's why I included the money there. I need to get my money back. So you need to take into consideration any CFC rules in that country, any expat regime that you might have, and so on. That country's tax considerations, you need to have them in mind in order to structure your taxes and fly efficiently. So this is a holistic view for how funds are taxed. And the last slide is that I will just give you a few current development, what's going on around the globe with respect to taxes. I'm pretty sure that you might heard somewhere about the OECD BEPS project. We have the so-called hybrid rules. So if you have, for example, a real estate fund, a REIT, that distributes dividends, and these dividends are tax deductible in the source jurisdiction, due to the hybrid rules, you might not get a deduction in Cyprus or elsewhere. Or, for example, action point 6, which is a principal purpose test, you might get denied your treaty benefit for withholding taxes paid from the investment jurisdiction to the fund. Finally, you have the EU ADAD. Whether we like it or not, we are part of the EU. We need to comply with the EU Tax Anti-Avoidance Directive, which is the ADAD. ADAD 3 is there, has been discussed a long time. We don't see this happening right now. It's there just to consider. And last but not least is Pillar 2, the global 15% minimum tax rate. If your fund is that good and you are making more than 750 millions, it means that you are doing country by country reported. You might be in scope for Pillar 2, and in this respect, you might need to take into consideration what is your tax risk with respect to Pillar 2. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take any questions right now. Otherwise, we can do it on the coffee break. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, I'd like to invite Maria Ioannou, Head of Business Development Unit of EconBX, for a fireside chat with me about the new era of fintech banking in Cyprus. Please join me on stage. Hi, Maria. Very pleased to meet you.
Pleasure is all mine.
So can you briefly introduce your company to us and outline the key services that you offer?
Yes, of course. EconBX is an EMI, electronic money institution, regulated by Central Bank of Cyprus, and providing a one-stop solution for seamless business transactions. We specialize in business-to-business accounts with unique name IBANs under our own network on SEPA and SWIFT, and innovative interbanking solutions via our intelligent banking platform. We can also provide to our customers acquiring services, which enable them to receive payments online through payment links or website, as well as currency conversions, FX deals, and card issuance. Over the past year, we have expanded our services to individuals, allowing everyone to easily obtain their own personal IBAN and card by simply downloading our app and logging to the Inconverse. And our latest news is that we have recently expanded in the investment sector. We can now provide brokerage and advisory services through the group's SIF company, which is EconBX Investment Limited. These services are currently available within the EU, but we are planning to seek regulatory approval to expand in non-EU countries as well, which will give us a stronger competitive advantage.
Thank you. And what are the key advantages for Israeli companies looking to redomicile to Cyprus? And how do the island's strategic location and financial incentives enhance its appeal as a business hub?
Actually, Cyprus provides numerous opportunities for expansion. It offers to Israeli companies the possibility to have the gateway to Europe, to European markets with its favorable tax system, EU membership, and strong legal framework. Which is based on English common law, of course. In the meantime, the close proximity to Israel, the highly skilled workforce, along with the well-developed financial sector, make it an ideal hub for regional operations. And with growing opportunities in tech and innovation, I believe that Cyprus provides for Israeli companies an attractive environment for expand and thrive within the competitive European and international markets.
You kind of clued this before when you mentioned about investment, if I caught it right. Can you tell us about your experience in Cyprus and how it has influenced your business operations and success in expanding fintech infrastructure and regulatory presence internationally?
Actually, Cyprus has significantly influenced our business operations and success in the fintech industry. Its robust regulatory framework within the EU provides a secure environment for growth, positioning Cyprus as a gateway to European markets and definitely as a strategic bridge to Middle East and Africa. But the supportive business environment and favorable tax system have facilitated our expansion, while the country's cost effectiveness, safety, and high quality of life make it as an attractive place to live and work comparing to other European nations. And overall, Cyprus' combination of strategic location, regulatory strength, and friendly business environment has been fundamental in our international success.
Thank you, Maria. And in what ways are your services shaping the industry?
Actually, at EconBX, we consider ourselves rebels of the market, constantly challenging the status quo and setting new trends in the industry. And to be honest, we don't just follow trends, we create them, reshaping the market from the inside out with our innovative approach. Our company's culture is rooted in passion, creativity, and genuine desire to make the difference. And this strong culture drives us to push boundaries and redefine the financial landscape. And with plans to expand beyond European Union, we are dedicated to bringing our unique vision and services to a wider audience, making a meaningful impact on both the industry and society.
Thank you. Do you have closing remarks for us that particularly will resonate with the Israeli audience here and also the hybrid part, hearing us digitally?
Actually, because the majority of the people, they are searching easy solutions, they are looking for the communication. It's a good opportunity, actually, to see our services as well, because through our company and services, they can find solutions for their both in-banking needs, and definitely they will find the proper communication lines in Cyprus and in the general banking system.
Thank you, Maria, for a fast, strong, and insightful discussion we had. And actually, last but not least, as I said, because we've approached the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. Well, actually, strike that. It has been my pleasure because we have reached the end after such an insightful summit. I'm sure you've heard a lot of details about real estate, about tax, about structuring funds or companies, about moving your business and how to do that, about planning for the future for yourself and your family. And I'm sure you took advantage of the networking opportunities to create the ties and the connections with the people that are going to help you consider Cyprus either as a plan B home, plan B business location, or a strategic, as we said in the beginning, I'm just reminding you, don't forget, a strategic launch pad into the European market. It has been my pleasure to be your chair at this summit, and I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I did. And that's it now, more networking, and it's the whole point of this event. Thank you so much.